The Rogue Room appreciates your recommendation.
Installation. Let's play.
folks, my name is Abigail. Welcome back to the Rogue Room. I'm your host, Rogue Bitch. And my lighting leaves a lot to be desired because there's still sunlight out. I wish I could just stream exclusively from like late at night after the moon's out and everything. It's all chill. But no, these blackout curtains do not black out the sunlight. Do not fall for their lies, alright? What's going on, folks? Welcome back in. How's your day been? How was my day? My day was alright. My day was pretty good, pretty chill, pretty carb-loaded. I hate that, honestly. Too many carbs, too much bread, too much rice. I had sushi today, and morning tea was laden with biscuits and breads. So trying to not eat virtually anything from now until about, say, midnight. So, how has everyone else's day been? I hope it's been well. I hope you've been good. Aside from, obviously, German not feeling too good. So I hope that goes away soon. Here's a thing. Here's a thing what I did today, folks. I bought this stuff. The strip lights, right? Look, I can make them different colors, obviously. I don't know where to put these, though. Look, I can do that. It is bright. Yeah, it's a bit much. I believe you can change the brightness. It doesn't seem to be working. Whatever. That didn't. This button is shit. It's not even. There we go. I want it to be purple, which is like that's the purple. That's how the purple looks, right? But I don't know where to put it. I can't figure out where in my room to put it. I want it to be visible on stream, of course. Yeah, it's this piece of fucking garbage. There are... Actually, you know what? I don't think I've seen strip lights that have had anything other than this. I'm sure I've seen smart strip lights somewhere. In fact, I think my dad has them. But they're these really chunky strip lights. And I can't find them anywhere near me. So, there's that problem. Hello, Gingerbeard Man. How you doing? What's going on? I have got... Here's a change. Let's start with this minor change. Because we now have a couple of tier 2s and tier 3s in the stream. Thanks to some anonymous gifting. I have to add tier 2 and tier 3 emotes to my stream at some point in the not too distant future. So that's what we got to work on. That's something I've got to work on. I've got to come up with some good ideas to incentivize you guys for tier 2s and tier 3s. You're broken into a small amusement park. It sounds awesome. That sounds badass. I want to do that. I want to go break into an amusement park. How do I get into that industry? Make it sound like there's a whole business of people breaking into old amusement parks. Crash your drone in it. Oh no. Oh, was it an abandoned one, or was it like a one that was just shut for the day? I actually, on the subject, hold your horses for a second. I just move stuff. I have not opened this yet. I'll have to give this a go. My dad bought me a drone. I've never owned one of these fucking things, and I just left it sitting in my wardrobe. Me, my sister, and my children. No, it was just me and my sister, sorry. Went to visit my dad recently. And he gave us all our Christmas presents. I think this was like 2 years worth of Christmas presents he had just sitting there for us. Me and my kids and my sister. And apparently at some point he has bought me a drone. I have never used a drone before. But that's a thing that I can use for stuff. Content, folks. This can be content somehow. Anyway. I'll work on that. I'll figure out some use for that at some point. Maybe I could do a drone stream somehow. Although I wouldn't personally want to stream like a flyover of my local area. I feel like that'd be really uncomfortable. Like personally doxing myself. Mate, let's go to the city. We'll go to Sydney. I'll go to Sydney and I'll fly a drone around Sydney. I'm sure the cops will love that one. Yeah, I do have kids. I've got 2 kids. 2 young kids. Who love my, like, collectible shit and try to steal it from me whenever they can. Which I don't approve of. But anyway, yeah. I am not with their mother. Well, I suppose I'm technically one of their mothers now. But yeah, this thing. I don't know what the fuck what do I do with this thing? What do I do with it, friendos? I can see you there. I don't know what to do with this thing. I bought, it was like 15 bucks for 3 meters of, what are they called? Don't flash it in your... Fine. Because I'm more responsible than CD Projekt Red, I will not strobe your eyes and induce seizures. I promise, alright? But I do need to find a spot for it, and I can't think, like... Again, one of my main original things was, let's lay the strip of lights around the edge of the bed frame. But then my thought was like, one, it's doable, for one thing, it is doable. But if I do that, if I inevitably have to take the bed frame down later on, to move to another house or whatever, it's going to destroy the strip lights in some way, and it's also going to peel the paint off the bed frame. Because they've got like that really firm 3M tape on the back of them, so I was considering like maybe I could strip it just to that back section there, and then tack the rest of it down instead of using the tape. I don't know. Either that or I was going to put it around the edge of my mirror. I don't know if that would look good or not. The other day you were at Walmart and you saw a rug that looked like the trans flag. That's awesome! I'm going to get, actually, on the subject of decorating, on the subject of change, I am going to get a trans flag. I'm going to hang it above my bed. Just to be that obnoxious trans girl that has a trans flag in the background. I'm going to be that bitch. Okay? I'm going to be that bitch. Have a trans flag there. As soon as I'm not fucking broke. Oh, on the subject of broke, I turned off my overlay, so we're missing several things to OP Live. Where's my alert box? Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Rogue Room. How you doing? Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with us. Where's my alert box? Where's my alert box? That's not it. Why is it not there? Hold your horses for a second, guys. My alert box is broken. It's broked. They broke the alert box. It was working before, so I don't know why it's broken now. You know what? I'm one of the... Oh. Okay. You could just... Oh, alright. I'm gone now. Goodbye, folks. I'm gonna slap it right over my face. No. Can I run... You know what? You know what I haven't done in a while? Let's see if I can fix it. Hang on. And I made the stupid mistake of centering it on my overlay. So now it's gonna be right over my face, which I don't want. It was working when we were getting hosts before. Let's go test follow.
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
There we go. So it works now.
Enjoy your stay.
You bastard of a thing. We'll put you over there. There we go. Alright. I need to add some like graphics to that or something. Anyway. Welcome in. We fixed it. We fixed the problem, guys. I'm gonna try something with this. If this will fucking work. There we go. I'm gonna put this on purple. There we go. We got a little bit of purple light coming off this reel of strip lights that I've got sitting here under my desk now. This is a tremendous lighting solution, what I did got. Hey Tetsu, how's it going? How's it going? We're going to be talking about change tonight. Not monetary change, which I hate. Because I now have a dollar coin. I've got a dollar coin sitting there in my wallet. And the bank is currently not accepting coins. Like, you can't put coins into the machine to put them on your card. It's not a thing that you're allowed to do at the moment. For reasons that escape me. I don't know why that is. They're just like, no. No, coins, not allowed. Notes, fine. Coins, fuck off. But I want to talk about the changes I want to make overall this year, and changes we all want to make this year, hopefully. All the new friends we're going to be friends with forever and ever and ever and ever. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. More friendos, please. Change you can believe in. I hope so. I want to hope so. I want to be as optimistic as I can this year. Because I have been rather pessimistic. I mean, generally speaking, I am a pretty pessimistic person. So, one goal I would strive towards would be more positivity and optimism. Fingers crossed. Maybe I shouldn't cross my fingers. Maybe that'll jinx it. I don't know how that works. I may be incorrect there. But some strides that can be taken to improve overall quality of life, I would say. What are some things you guys are going to be striving for? Like any goals you have for this year. What are your plans with those and how do you plan to achieve them? Where can you apply to be a chat moderator? Why do you ask, Rip Me? I've never actually had someone come to me and ask how to apply to be a chat moderator before, quite frankly. I've had people who've been here regularly for long periods of time express interest in it. Speaking of changes, tell you got a meeting with HR to discuss furthering autistic interest, especially as you work at a youth charity. No, you didn't, but that's interesting. I would like to talk more on autism. There's a change thing that I haven't considered much. Like, I would like to talk more about that concept, more about that particular topic, autism, because for those who are unaware, I am autistic. I'm one of them autistic folks. Oh, just bumped my desk, or lack thereof. This is a trestle table. It doesn't count as a desk. Where is? Hang on a sec. Let me grab something. More lights. I need more lights. Goal is to optimize your cuteness. You already have, Autumn. You've already done it. You can't go higher than the mountain's peak, alright? I'm sorry. Autism discussion? Yeah, like, I think the idea of talking about autism would be a good thing to tackle, because there are a lot of misconceptions around it. How long have I been diagnosed? I would estimate since about 11. I'm not 100% certain, but I've been diagnosed most of my life. I was diagnosed when they still called it Asperger's syndrome. Now I am technically classified as high-functioning autistic. So I'm one of those autistic folks where you tell them you're autistic, you tell people you're autistic, and they go, "Oh, I never would have guessed," which kind of insulting in a way, I think. It depends on the person, but it's kind of weird when you tell someone you're autistic and they just immediately assume that you weren't. As if that's... and that speaks to the preconceptions some people have about autism, I suppose you could say. I want to be helpful to keep chat smooth and clean. To be completely honest, you would like to have power over other people. I'm gonna be straight with you. As a very gay person, I'll be straight with you. I was once a moderator on a Minecraft server a long time ago. Or rather, I was an admin, which was basically just a more powerful moderator. In the terms of that server's ranking system. And me and a few other of our fellow admins power tripped like crazy. It was bad, but to be quite honest with you, turns out the guy who was leading the server embezzled a ton of donations to that server and fucked off with the money, so I don't care. I don't have any qualms about being a bit of an asshole on that server and making it look bad. Fuck him. But, I did do that a few times. I did power trip a little bit. It's also a reason why I don't touch the moderation role anymore. When it comes to that kind of thing, you won't see me as a moderator of like a Twitch streamer's Discord or of a Minecraft server, of a gaming server of any sort. The only place where I will moderate, so to speak, even then, is my own Discord server and my own Twitch chat. Otherwise, I try to stay away from the position of authority because I know I am really fucking bad for getting a big head about things. Your cousin is autistic. How does it affect them? This is interesting to discuss. With regards to autism, with regards to the autism discussion, there's so much, like, the reason they call it the autism spectrum is because there's really so many different varieties of people that you don't realize are autistic that are affected by it in much more than what you see as the typical representation of autism. Like, for example, that fuck-awful movie... Thank you, Max, by the way. That fuck-awful movie produced by Sia called Music. I think it was called Music. Do not watch it. First of all, we know that she is explicitly ableist in the way she's decided to cast the protagonist of that movie. She chose someone who was not autistic in any way, shape, or form, and apparently only auditioned one autistic actress for the role. And then when confronted about that on social media, she went out of her way to attack other autistic people who were saying, "Why didn't you hire an autistic actress?" etc, etc, etc. Now, she turned out to be a bit of a chud about the whole thing. I don't know what the word chud means, but it's just become a go-to insult. So there you go. I think this music's a bit too loud. This is the synthwave Stream Beat soundtrack. How does it sound? I did use this one in my latest video. She had the biggest hissy fit over it, and like, I always thought she was weird. Like, she was weird, but I never thought she was explicitly ableist, and the way she behaved about that whole situation made me lose a ton of respect. Well, I mean, I didn't have any respect for her to begin with. Sia as a musical artist, I was just like, He exists. Now I just like... Now I was neutral before, and now I'm explicitly below the level of base respect for... It is Vaporwave. This is Stream Beats Synthwave by Harris Heller. I wouldn't mind getting a little overlay that shows the music currently playing, but it's always either synthwave or lo-fi. It's one of those two playlists because I can't get into any sort of copyright trouble for it, which is fantastic. Well, for now anyway. I've always had some speculations about Harris Heller. I've had some worries. Had some skepticisms is the word I'm looking for, where he's getting his name out there in the streaming scene for Stream Beats. Everyone knows him for Stream Beats and for his streaming advice and all that sort of stuff. And he's putting out all this music for free, and he's got big ambitions to release tons of albums this year. I think he was saying he wants to release 1 or 2 albums a month. I don't know how he's going to do that, but like these songs are really, honestly, rather simply put together. They are good to listen to in the background, but they don't have a lot of depth to them. And I think that's how he's able to churn the music out so quickly, is he's, doing a really simple method of producing this music. And he's probably got maybe friends helping him do it as well. But I've had some speculations that maybe somewhere down the line, he could potentially flip a switch and start charging people for using Stream Beats, and I really hope he doesn't. But we know how capitalism works. We know eventually people are going to want to make money. I mean, I could be wrong. I have a good friend who is autistic, and she often says it makes her very bad at understanding jokes. She's self-conscious about it and will apologize when she misses a joke. Yeah, I understand that, I think. Although I've become better at reading and perceiving jokes nowadays. But there have definitely been some jokes where it completely flies over my head and everyone else gets it, and I chalk that up to autism, I think. Or, alternatively, some people just not being good at telling jokes. There are quite a few people who are not good at telling jokes. You want to know what the difference is between a good joke and a bad joke? Timing. I didn't tell that one correctly. Anyway, what about autism? Well, we've gotten into the autism delivery with Deliveroo. Anyway, the thing that really ticks you off are these autism groups and charities that paint a front of caring about autistic people, but are all about that autistic erasure. This is such a huge thing. Do not support Autism Speaks. They're a genocidal organization. Yes, exactly, Broken. Autism Speaks are a company or charity, or whatever you want to call them, that... What did Yoda say when he saw himself in 4K HD, Emma? Get out! Anyway, yeah, I think Deliveroo is an Australian DoorDash style thing, and it's mainly localized in cities. I haven't seen it around me where I'm living in like suburbia. But yeah, the Autism Speaks thing, we'll talk about that very briefly. We'll talk about the idea of Autism Speaks. They are one of those have you heard the argument of we would like to be able to cure autistic people, right? Because don't get me wrong, there are some autistic people whose condition is absolutely debilitating, right? They are very, very, what's it called? Not high intensity autism, low function autism. The ones who are generally speaking non-verbal have difficulty with physical functions, the ones who hit themselves, who chuck fits. The very severe interpretation of autistic people, like as far as the symptoms go, right?
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
Hope you
Nicholas
enjoy your
McHill.
stay.
Oh, McMahill. Welcome in, dude. Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with us. We hope you're having a good one. I can speak. Don't worry. I'm autistic and I can speak. Well, there are obviously cases of autistic people who are very severely impacted by their autism. And it's quite honestly, for the parents of those children, very debilitating for them as well. Those parents often self-abnegate to be able to take care of their kids. They have no life. Their entire life is taking care of their autistic child. And Autism Speaks is one of those organizations that panders to those particular parents. They want to give those parents the hope that one day their child can be normal. Thereby they're pursuing a cure for autism, right? Which that's what they're raising funds for. They're trying to cure autism, when really that's quite frankly infeasible. The way that autism is, it's not possible to cure it, and to do so is to explicitly work towards a eugenics-focused future. That's what they're going for. Like, Autism Speaks is specifically eugenicist, thereby genocidal. And same thing with the trans teenagers and puberty blockers in the UK. The whole situation over there where they've denied transgender teenagers puberty blockers. And then the people who were campaigning for those puberty blockers have now moved on to university-age students. They're away from home. They might fall prey to the blah, 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 turning trans, whatever. It's explicitly an attempt at genocide. We got Autism Speaks trying to wipe out autism, and we got people in the UK trying to wipe out trans people. It's explicitly genocide, and we need to be aware of it. There are people trying to extinguish certain types of people from life. And if they can't cure them, then they're going to kill them. Essentially. Not directly. Because, what was the thing that was shown in the video? The trailer, or something for that movie by Sia, something called prone holding or something along those lines, where if an autistic person is chucking a fit, they try to hold them down, face down to the ground, hold their limbs, prone position, yeah. And like somebody is like on their body trying to keep them still. This kills autistic people. This can kill them. And yet it is still a practice that is used today. This is a thing that can kill them, and this is what Autism Speaks will probably tell you is a good thing. Oopsie, a couple of them died. Do not trust Autism Speaks. You're just here to listen. You're welcome to listen, Prayer. Welcome in. Not only does it kill them, but it fucking makes things worse. I mean, I don't know if there's much worse than death. But yeah, I think it can actually make their fits demonstrably worse as well. Here's how bad the cops are. You saw one city's cop trying to get good PR by having an autism awareness squad car, and it was a shit ton of bright colors and stuff. A flood of autistic people came out and basically said, thanks, we hate it. I think I remember that. I think I recall that. Like, it was too brightly colored. Thanks, we hate it. This was only back in September. Oh, fuck. Okay, so I need to update my little scene over here. I will fix this. Maybe we could do that tonight, you know, honestly. Hang on a second. Am I? No. I thought for a second I was outside of the frame. First of all, this is an eyesore. Unveiled their new autism awareness wrap on one of their squad cars. It's bright, it's shiny, it has puzzle pieces, and it came with a big check made out to Autism Speaks. Well, there's your first problem. Thanks, I hate it. Actually autistic. I remember this tag trending. I remember this tag trending. I remember this tag trending on Twitter. This is a Facebook comment, but it was actually trending on Twitter as well. I can't believe it was only back in September of last year. Here we have the neurotypicals wanting to be a savior for the autistic community. Without including autistic people in the conversation, the neurotypical offends the autistics by using puzzle pieces and bright colors that hurts their eyes. Yeah, it's fucking god-awful. For starters, there is the design of this car which seems to have been conceived by someone who's never met an autistic person. Neurotypicals doing a design, a visual horror story. Seriously, I can't even look at it, it causes me physical pain. It does look truly dreadful. Look at this fucking thing. Trigger warning. Awful design. Oh my god, it's like... It's almost insulting, not even just on the fact that it's brightly colored and puzzle pieces. It's infantilizing autism. Which I know the puzzle pieces thing is already an autism logo in its own way, but this is just completely infantilizing autistic people. Treating them like babies. Again, I am autistic. I'm a fully functioning adult. And a starving artist. Donate to me on Patreon. For starters, there is a design of this car which... Yeah, blah, blah, blah. To a few of us, those colors seem fun and stimmy. For those of you who are unaware, autistic people stim. You'll see me all the time finding something on my desk to play with. I've been doing this a lot more lately. Blue tack. Fidget cube. Fidget spinner. Like, I stim like crazy at my desk. Rainbow 8 Infinity Sign Supremacy. You want to hear something stupid? Not related at all to this. Here's something for you. My sister. I'm sorry if you're here, Katie, but I have to insult you in this circumstance. My sister has the whitest white girl tattoo in the world on her foot. It's an infinity symbol with script written into two parts of the infinity symbol. I can't remember what it says, but it's some stereotypical sentiment, and I hate it so much. It's the... Does she watch them occasionally? She will come in occasionally. She is... I'm trying to think of what her username is. KateXOX, but it's spelled K, and then the word 8, and then XOX. That's my sister. So if you see that name, she's in here chilling. For the vast majority of autistic people, this squad car, which looks like a unicorn, vomited the entire 1990s. Hey! I'm gonna tell you right now, when I have some cash, I am buying everything on this store. The 90s is my fucking vibe. Don't insult the fucking 90s, alright? Vapor 95, I love this shit. This is so fucking awesome. They've got a tremendous amount of 90s inspired... No, not that. 90s inspired apparel. I love it. I fucking love it. There's a dress. There is a summer dress that looks like... Actually, hang on. Let me find it. It looks like the design they had on those arcade floors. Where is it? Where's dresses? Women's racerback dresses. Here we go. This is a Saved by the Bell stream, yes. Where is it? This. These are perfect. Look at these. Holy shit. Like, this one's literally called City Bus. And I need to get at least one of them. That's a big change I'm going to be making this year. I'm going to buy one of those racerback dresses. Anyway, to a few of us, these colors may seem fun and stimulating, but the vast majority looks like blah blah blah. Is a violent assault on the senses. Yellow occurring outside of nature should be proscribed. I imagine that means maybe what, banned? It's the green that makes me want to rip my eyeballs out to stop the pain. Here's a brief list of everything that makes this card's paint job an abomination unto autistic brains. Hello, cat. Now he's found the drone box. He's going to try to get on the drone box. That yellow, that green, that pink, the lack of symmetry with puzzle pieces scattered haphazardly everywhere. Erasing and infantilizing ableism and racism that happens at the hands of police with a political PR stunt that makes police seem less intimidating. That's the thing. Hey, where are you going? Excuse me, sir. Cat? Mr. Cat? Off there. Nope. Come on, animal. You can come over here. Off you go. No, away. Anyway, yeah, this part in particular is very important because there have been numerous cases of cops, again, using that prone position restraint to try to restrain autistic people, in some cases people of color, and of course it has resulted in death. Love the life you live. No, it's like a one-word phrase. Oh, I've only got coffee at the moment. I'll hydrate soon. Color that sets you off to that brownish yellow shit. The word awareness is barely legible because of the clashing puzzle pieces behind it, and the R is having some kind of personal crisis, so it really seems to read awareness. What the fuck is that? I didn't see. Look at this shit. I didn't see that. Awareness. What the fuck? Okay. Miami is a sunny place, so this car will frequently be in very bright light. This is basically a mobile migraine. What kind of puzzle is this? Have you ever done a puzzle? If a puzzle piece is a totally different color from the piece you've connected it to, something is wrong. Look at the box. Radio broken. Drinks a diuretic. Yep. Well, you know, black coffee. If you have 1 teaspoon of black coffee in a standard 250ml glass of water, you still get net hydration from that. So, there you go. There's a fun fact. Most of us hate the puzzle piece symbol because we associate it with both autism speaks, with attitudes that have resulted in our persecution and mistreatment. In fact, this entire car and political stunt seems to be a shining beacon of miseducation and misunderstanding. You get the gist. So that was the big situation with the autistic squad car. We hate it. It fucking sucks. Take it away. Getting from these streamers an autistic trans woman is not a failing artist, starving artist. The difference. As in, I am artistic and autistic. Or rather, what I consider my art, my video essays primarily, but rather the method in which I present my content is its own art form. The video essays, yes, are an art piece in their own right. But of course, like with any type of art, like with any type of attempt at gaining success in anything, the issue is that I don't have enough of an audience to turn that into a living just yet. And therein is the starving artist part. It's like I'm trying my best to create, but I need to get eyeballs on the creations, you know? So I'm working on my next piece, which will hopefully, honestly, this is again another big change. One of my big goals for 2021 is to produce 12 video essays throughout this year. I'm planning them out right now, one every month. My next one is going to be distinctly different from the one that I just did called Cancelled, which was a very straightforward talk to the camera about a certain topic kind of assignment. And then the next one's going to be much more heavily creative. Very, very heavily creatively inspired. Still going to involve research, but it's going to be more of a character piece that is going to tackle a very personal topic. I'm not going to explain the finer details. What you're getting at is we're made to be friends. It's perfect, isn't it? But yeah, her white girl tattoo phrases. Hang on a second. White girl infinity symbol tattoo phrases. Let me see. No, so like what my sister's one is, you know what? It's kind of very similar to this. Forever Young. So I think she's got two words, one there and one there. It's not this exact design, but it's very, very close. I cannot stand to look at it. It's what a fucking eyesore. I'm sorry. I deeply apologize to my sister, but goddamn, that choice in tattoo, goodness. Forever Young. Oh, I know. Now I can't stop thinking about it. Great. The fucking OC, man. That's another thing. It was another thing I was unfortunately exposed to as a child. The OC. That was another thing that my sister got really heavily into. I'm pretty sure that song was either associated with that show at some point, or that song came out around the time the OC was popular, and I just associated with it in my head. Oh god, a copy pasta. I'm not reading that shit. You want to eat the quiche already? I want to eat something. I want to eat something. The OC was the shit that... I mean, I'm not going to lie. It had some good moments. It did. But, you know what I regret? Is that I watched all of True Blood. I hate that I watched all of True Blood, quite frankly. That was... It was okay. For a bit. But it skewed off the rails. I'm thinking of Forever Young... There was a remake of it then. There must have been a remake of it then. Because the one that I'm thinking of definitely came out around the time of the OC. The version of True Blood was Vampire Diaries. I believe after watching True Blood with my then partner, she got into Vampire Diaries. I did not. Either that or there was somebody else I was seeing who was into Vampire Diaries. I can't recall. Is it on Netflix? I think True Blood is. The original Forever Young was Bob Dylan in 1973. There you go. There you go. I'm just going to continue playing with a literal blade on my stream. Maybe I shouldn't. You did like Gossip Girl. That was another one my sister got heavily into. I feel like I'm really bizarre in the sense that I've watched a few TV shows. But I have a very heavy tendency to dip out of them. Or watch one episode or two and stop watching them. I cannot have my attention held for multiple seasons of a thing. I just don't have the patience. It annoys the hell out of me how I do not have the patience for it. Because I know there are plenty of good shows out there, and honestly, I am one of those perpetually online imbeciles who spends far too much time browsing social media, and I could devote that time to watching something educational, for fuck's sake. I don't even... Quite frankly, I should be going and looking for educational content. That's what I should be doing. But instead, I go on Twitter and get angry at people. Or Facebook or whatever. You did binge watch MASH. I think the thing about MASH, right, is it's been on television for so long. It's been syndicated for so fucking long that I feel like I've seen the entire series without ever actually committing to watching it. It just happens to have been on certain channels when people have had the TV on, and I have seen full episodes of it, and I know a fair amount of the entire series without ever having actually said to myself, I am going to commit to watching MASH. The MASH theme song has lyrics. The song is called Suicide is Painless, right? So let's read through these lyrics really quickly, right? Through early morning fog I see visions of the things to be. The pains that are withheld from me, I realize and I can see that suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and I can take or leave it if I please. You can go and look it up if you want. Oh my god, the lyrics go for ages. Jesus Christ. You get the gist. It's a very dark song, but for the sake of MASH, for the sake of the show, they just did the instrumental for obvious reasons. I think that may have been a bit too heavy for primetime television, perhaps. Although MASH itself did tackle quite a lot of heavy and grim themes for that kind of a show. Like, it was a sitcom, of course. It's also one of those shows that feels weird to think about how long ago it came out. It still feels somewhat current in a lot of ways. Same with Seinfeld. Maybe it's just the fact that I grew up with those shows. Star Trek theme has got lyrics too. I can't even think of the Star Trek theme at this point. What have I missed? You listen to the song a few times, it's a great way to depress the fuck out of yourself. Isn't that marvelous? We love music and lyrics that are designed to make us feel absolute shit. That's one thing I want to, like, coming back to the change thing, that is something I want to work on this year, is I think I have definitely, in the past, well, quite frankly, since coming out, alright, let's clarify, I definitely feel like I've become more impassioned and emboldened, and that's a positive thing, that's a good thing. But, I think there has been a part of me that has definitely looked for things to be, again, impassioned about, but what I really mean is angry about. Things I want to get fired up about, because then I can turn that into content, right? Things that I want to be... I want to have a strong opinion on things. And maybe this year, one of the things I could try to shoot for is finding more stuff that doesn't give me that sensation. Like, I have this problem that cycles around every year or so, where I'll get very heavily into video games, and quite frankly, I don't see it happening this year, because my ambition is fill my schedule up with as much creativity as I possibly can. Like, don't give myself the time of day to even play video games. But maybe that is a thing that I... this cycle that I have is like either every year or every couple of years. I'll drop video games entirely for a lengthy period of time and then come back to them. I don't know why I do that, but that's usually a place of comfort for me, is playing video games. But it also feels... Welcome to the Rogue Room, Galactic Cactus. How are you doing? Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with us, you lovely person, you. That's become a thing that annoys me about myself, is that I will tell myself, I know all about the videos game, I play a lot of those, and then I'll check and it's been like, haven't opened Steam in 8 months. Like, the PlayStation has changed from white to grey because it's collected so much dust. I don't know what it is about me and gaming that don't get along. And yet there are games that I would wholeheartedly spend the rest of my life playing. Stardew Valley, for instance. I gotta play that again soon at some point. But of course, this particular thing, I consider streaming a creative endeavor. I consider this an exploration of artistic ideas, in a way. It's an extension of the work that I do with my YouTube stuff, and an extension of myself as a person. And thereby I see it as a creative endeavor. You might disagree, I don't know. You openly admit that you know nothing about anything. You just got a PC after years of not having one, so you figured stream and find people to chill with. That's a good idea. Yeah. You finished Yakuza series, so you have zero desire to game, except Like a Dragon. What is it about Like a Dragon that's better? You know, I've looked at it, I've watched it, and I'm quite frankly... I mean, I've never been particularly allured by the appeal of Yakuza. What I will say, though, as someone who's never played Yakuza or a very, very similar Japanese game, whose name eludes me right now, the Dreamcast one. Do you remember the game that came out on the Dreamcast And then it was like 15 years between sequels. Shenmue. That's it, Shenmue. Was it Shenmue and then Shenmue 2? And then there was a huge break, and then they crowdfunded Shenmue 3, and it released, and it was a tremendous, honestly baffling disappointment. And apparently Yakuza does everything Shenmue aims to do, but better, is what I have heard. So there's that. When you're streaming this multiple times, you admit you're just making this up as you go along, so if they wanted to watch a pro gamer, they could just find one of those. That's the great thing about Twitch, though, is like, you could find someone that fits any walk of life. Like, you could find any... And I was talking about this the other day on... I asked this question on a variety of Facebook streaming groups, and I got quite a few responses, but in my personal opinion, I'm going to throw this out there, I don't believe Twitch is exclusively a gaming website. I don't think it ever has been. But people have got this preconception that Twitch is exclusively a gaming website, and I just think that's patently untrue. Especially given just how many of the content creators that I like the most are not gamers. I mean, a fair few of them are, of course, but there are so many creators that I follow who, when I tune into their streams, and I need to do this more often, this is another change I want to make this year, is watching more streamers. I want to tune into more streams this year. The ones I enjoy the most are the ones who are doing creative things, or who are doing, like, well, that could be like arts and crafts, that could be music, that could be, honestly, I want to check out some fitness streams. It's something I want to do. I want to check out some fitness streams. I haven't done that yet. I think I've seen a few every now and again, but I'd like to see, aside from Dharma Karmastar, who is a good friend, she did yoga. I don't know if she still does her yoga streams anymore. But that was always interesting to watch, to see like a long form exercise stream. And I would like to, at some point, maybe attempt that as an idea for a stream content. The only thing is that would be really early in the morning, so say 9 hours ago-ish, 10 hours ago, when I would start the stream, would kick it off to do a fitness stream. You're finding more and more that you enjoy just chatting streams while the streamer is playing a more passive game, Teamfight Tactics or the like. So I don't know what Teamfight Tactics is specifically about. I've heard it referred to as auto chess, but I do know of it. But I think I get what you mean. Yeah. Trying to work on volume control. That is always what I do pretty regularly. Give yourself a moment to record, like 30 seconds. With OBS or whatever streaming software you use, record it and test every type of volume that's going to be affecting your stream. Your mic volume, your PC volume, your game volume. Make sure all of that is running as smooth as possible. Do that like once every couple of weeks or so, and make sure it's all nice and crispy. Keep it up to date. There's a thing that's like a habit you can get into, you know. Auto chess game by Riot. I will admit, I've never actually dipped my toes into a Riot game in my life. Not a one of them. Not a single one. I think maybe one game of League of Legends when I was like 17. There was a guy who was like, I play League of Legends. I think the game's been out that long. I don't recall. Maybe it's been out less time than that. But this guy did say, you should download League of Legends. And I played 2 games with him, I think. Never touched it again. And that's my entire experience with League of Legends. I have a broad variety of streaming tastes. Cat's Kitchen, Holy Diver TV. I think Holy Diver TV was the one she rated after stream yesterday, because I wound up at his stream. Calgar is good for gaming, yeah. You know who I haven't seen Richie Tooties on stream in a while. I don't know if he's still doing it. He was always good for gaming content. But yeah, I found that my preferred method of doing content personally, my preferred method is to talk. I like to do the discussionings. Magic. There you go. I much prefer talking about things. And we would, I've brought this point up several times on stream now. We found that typically when I was doing a stream of any particular game, we would get into the discussion of some current event or some trending topic or some concept, and we would start to explore that while playing the game. But the problem, of course, was that I was playing the game and thereby unable to concentrate on both things at once. And I think my preference is to focus on the conversation, to focus on the ideas, focus on the concepts, and explore those in depth rather than get myself distracted by pretty pixels on a screen. My throat is dry. I think I need to go get my bottle of water in a moment. Yeah, it can be hard to chatter, and especially when you're doing a multiplayer stream game. That's always tricky when playing a multiplayer stream game. You've got a squad of people, all playing together, all chatting amongst themselves, and if you're watching, that kind of restricts interactivity with the streamer. It takes away that... Excuse me, I'm definitely getting my water in a sec. That takes away the interactivity element of the whole concept. So if you're playing a squad game, everyone's trying to read chat, everyone's trying to respond, it becomes very hectic. But yeah, me personally, I think I prefer this format. This is much better. Instead, we can get distracted by the pretty you mean my pretty pixels? With my lights? What's going on, Cass? How's it hanging? That's why I enjoy the passive games. They don't take a lot of thought, or communicating with chat is easier, but they still provide an anchor of sorts if chat gets quiet or weird. True. Alright, I need to go... favorite food to eat after a workout. I'll come back to that, hang on. Allow me to get rid of this. My eyeliner skills make you pretty low-key jealous. Practice. I still hate mine, honestly. Back in a sec. Alright. Testing to make sure that the water bottle... the lid wasn't screwed on properly this morning when I was taking my medicine. Spilled all over myself and my desk. Luckily, it only got on like my little keyboard, whatever this thing is called. There's like a little bit here at whatever it is. The wrist guard. It only got on that, so I didn't actually ruin anything. But... So make sure the water's not coming out. Ow. How hot is it? It was pretty... it was like 34 today. I think it got up to 34. So that was fun. I'm trying to see if this little remote thing is actually going to do... There we go. It's not working very well. This remote. Trying to fiddle with it. The purple works though, but then you can't really tell there's purple happening because everything's purple in here. Siblings, can't live with them, can't lose them in the woods. You're not trying hard enough. Honestly, you're not trying hard enough. Takes a lot of effort. So anyway, there's the makeup. I've actually got an angled liner that I just bought. And I try to keep it very thin when I start about the middle and draw it out to the wing. And I don't tend to do... I used to do like all the way into the middle here. But I found that I didn't like the way it looked. And it also... I would routinely fuck it up. That's the problem with having a very heavy brow... What's it called? Like hooded... have I got hooded eye bits? 34, yeah, 30, what is it, hooded lids, yeah. I've got a very heavy brow, so it makes doing eye stuff very difficult at times. But yeah, Celsius to Fahrenheit conversions are necessary in this circumstance. You gotta remember to do conversions. So that works out to, what does 34 work out to? 93 Fahrenheit. It was pretty hot today. It was sweaty weather. But we should just drop Fahrenheit altogether. Quite frankly, we should probably drop Celsius altogether and go Kelvin. Let's go Kelvin, guys. Focus on Kelvin nowadays. We're past the need for Celsius and Fahrenheit. Let me fix that up. About 100 Fahrenheit where you are. So that's pretty warm. Pretty warm. I got another one of these today. I'm just going to say that right now. I got another bloody headband. Because I saw the polka dots and I'm like, I need the polka dots. Alright. There's even more. This is just from Kmart, right? And I'm like, I gotta stop going into the Kmart. I guess it's not the beauty section, like the women's accessories section, because they got all these cute headbands. And I'm like, I'm gonna send myself broke on headbands. Please don't make me broke on headbands. C is easier for maths, but F is more equivalent to perception. What do you mean, equivalent to perception? I'm confused. Clarify for me. I'm trying to like fix this up. I would love to have my window more in the shot, but this is very difficult. Yeah, Kmart, the funny story about Kmart, right, is that, hold on a sec. I don't know why this has been messed up. I have not fiddled with my camera, and like the angle is completely wrong for some reason. I don't know why the angle is completely wrong, but something has happened to my camera, and it's completely out of whack now. I did not adjust this at all today. Hang on. Like, I don't know what's going on with it. I can't even adjust the fucking... There we go. That's what I want. The ring light. I wanted to adjust the ring light. I'll tell you the story about Kmart in time. There we go. Alright, so the story about Kmart was it was originally the Kmart of America, but at some point, I think in the late 80s or early 90s, Kmart was struggling in the US, but in Australia it was thriving. So a separate entity in Australia purchased the Australian sector of Kmart and kept the business running here, and it's one of the most successful what's the phrase, like department stores, I guess, in the country. That you can find Kmart fucking everywhere here in Australia. It's all over the place. So that's how that goes. That was a very exhilarating, enthralling story that I told there. I could hang on. Let's have a look at this. Let me have a look. Kmart Australia. Let me see here. So Kmart Australia Limited was born out of a joint venture between GJ Coles and Koi Limited and SS Kresge Company. This looks like SS Kresge. Sebastian Sparing Kresge. This is a very fucking Nazi looking name, dude. Very Nazi looking name. Just gonna throw that out there. Anyway, in the United States, with Kresge owning 51% of common stock in the company. They began to develop Kmart stores in Australia in 1968. The first store opened in Burwood, East Victoria on 30th of April 1969, with an estimated 40,000 people passing through the checkouts and taking in over 97,000, equivalent to Australian 1.17 million in 2021 on the first day. Jesus Christ. Maybe I was wrong then. Unless I'm reading this incorrectly. Maybe it actually is a different store. Kmart expanded to New Zealand in 1988. A long-term agreement with Sears allowed Wesfarmers to use the Kmart name in Australia and in New Zealand. Okay. In August 2017, Wesfarmers purchased the Kmart brand name for use in Australia and New Zealand for $100 million outright, ending the licensing agreement. So I was wrong. It's not actually... it wasn't actually them conjoined, but it was... a combination, a joint effort, a joint venture between Coles Limited and the SS Kresge Company in the United States. But it wasn't actually related to, aside from that agreement, the licensing agreement with Sears, allowing them to use the name Kmart, which was broken in 2017. I was wrong. There we go. There we have it. Let me get rid of this. I've got some notes from like yesterday's stream. We don't need that anymore. Kmart is better than Big W. I would argue that, yeah. Big W never really has anything that stands out to me that I particularly want. What's my favorite collectible item that I own? Good question. You can't see any of the fucking things. My camera is so fucking shit. What this is about over here? Blah. Where is it? This one. That's what this whole situation is. New cam setup. I'm trying to make income. Let me see. What's my favorite collectible? I don't know. I've got quite a few there. There's quite a few good ones. I do really like Sekiro, honestly. The statue of Sekiro is awesome. This is one of my favorites. I will throw that out there. Not that you can see much, because he's, you know, in the wrong kind of lighting. I could turn the lights up, but I don't want to. Because weeb shit, you know. But nothing particularly stands out to me as a favorite. I mean, maybe this. This might qualify. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's like the one good thing from the Star Wars sequel trilogy. On the subject. But honestly, like, coming back around to change again, I'm just going to keep cycling back around to this. One of the things I want to do this year is, like, I've got, I mentioned recently, I have a box full of collectible stuff. I have a box full of pop vinyls, and I've got Disney Infinity figures. Those were little collections I was building. I was buying all of the Overwatch pops for a while there. I was buying all of the Disney Infinity Marvel figures for a while there. And one of my big goals with moving forward with, like, collectibles and stuff like that, honestly, even if I did have the money for it, which I don't right now, is to just stop doing all that, stop buying all that shit. Like, all this stuff is cool and all, but I've noticed how much of it I've got that just sits there collecting dust, and I don't organize it in any particular way. I still don't like how this shelving unit is laid out. I'd like to get rid of it and replace it with something more minimal, and greatly downscale everything, get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. Minimalism, which is surprisingly expensive to do, to downsize, to downscale things, to minimize things. The only thing I want more of is lights. More and more lights, please. That's warm. I'm going to turn that off. I don't think the lights are supposed to be on while they are, I don't think they're supposed to be on while they're raveled up into a little circle, so we'll leave that off for now. Talking about change, but no David Bowie and changes. Fuck DMCA, agreed. The whole DMCA... How is the DMCA situation? I haven't actually heard any news stories as of late about that whole situation. Are they still going heavy on it? Are they still trying their best to destroy Twitch as a platform? Or have they worked out an agreement? I don't even know at this point. I have no idea what Twitch is doing. Let's have a look. Like, what's the latest on the Twitch DMCA front? Latest story seems to be November 11th, so it's been a couple of months now since we've heard anything. So, for that point, got distracted when you showed the LED spool. Don't keep them on like that or they'll end up burning out. Speaking from multiple instances. So, like, if I had a spool of them, like, the idea is, of course, to have them behind my bed or on my mirror or behind my shelves or something. I haven't figured out where I want them to go yet. I'm still figuring that specific thing out. Where do I put them? I could put them around the window, honestly. I could line them up around the window. But then I would have to actually attach them to the fixture, the wall. And this is a rental, so I don't want to muck up anything and end up costing myself more. Eyes are firmly planted on the Dawson Pater Star situation right now. Much juicier and less stressful. Fucking makeup artist. Like, I mean, what's happening with Shane Dawson? I thought he got entirely... Like, I go on about how much I don't like the idea of cancel culture, but I firmly believe Shane Dawson got the full end of the cancel culture stick. Oh, if they're unraveled and can disperse the heat is fine. Okay, okay. Do you think behind the bed would be a good idea? Where do we put it? Where do we put it? Also, so pontificate on that for me. Magic Man, I just did hydrate. So, what was I going to say? Oh, one of the things that I thought I was going to do this year, and I've decided to indefinitely postpone it until I can figure out what I'm doing with it. I've put off the mask off format for now. So Monday, tomorrow, we're not going to do the whole bring a guest on and chat thing. We're just going to do a regular Just Chatting stream, and we're going to do that routinely as much as possible. Just like a 3, maybe 4 hour Just Chatting stream every night. As many nights as I can manage. My goal, one of my big goals with my streams for this year is to stream as many nights as possible to be on as often as I possibly can, to get some good regularity going with this, good consistency going with this, keep it going. Because I found that I think streaming 4 days a week and then taking 3 days off in a row every week felt like too big of a gap. And people would start to forget about me. It's amazing how the internet works in that regard. I did, of course, recently take a couple of days off for various reasons, but my goal this year is to be online almost every day, as many days as I possibly can, and keep the chatting going, keep the conversation flowing, folks. I had a suggestion for placement, but you just talked about getting rid of it. I'm going to suggest running them around the inner edges. The inner edges, whereabouts? Where specifically? And the thing that's tricky about this is it's all like individual little pieces. So if I need to take this down, the strip lights are going to be destroyed. You know, that's the problem. Like, if I want to put them on there, I won't be able to reattach them to wherever I go in the next place. So that's what's really tricky about this kind of shit. You know, I can't really place them anywhere permanent. I don't know. Who am I again? I don't know. I honestly have no... Oh, hang on. I put my logo up in the corner. That's who I am. There we go. The shelf placement, you think? It could be a good idea. Like, the inner lip at the bottom of each shelf. So, like, on this side, this bit here underneath. Is that what you mean? What I really want, and I hate that I can't find these in physical stores, but let me just quickly look this up. Amazon. What I really want to get are these things. If I understand correctly, these light strip connectors, where you can connect a whole bunch of them together and space them out. Because I would like to have, like say, a strip of light on each shelf would be good, and then connect them with those connectors, and sort of hide it down the sides on the inside of this next one, etc. Diffusion strips to make them less harsh. Okay, there's an idea. By the way, I love the absolute... Hang on. I love the absolute fake-ass illustrations they've used here. This is what your strip lights are going to look like. No, the fuck it isn't. It's not going to look like that at all. You can tell they've photoshopped that to all hell. But yeah, I can't seem to find these connector strips individually anywhere I live. Any of the shops. I've been to like a Bunnings Warehouse. They tend to... They have the light strips themselves. And they had a set that was 4 individual strips about that length. So they were preset that you could get the connector cables, but they didn't come with the connector cables, and the store didn't have the connector cables. So I'm kind of like fucking shit out of luck on this. Like, what do I do, fam? That said, though, on the subject of Amazon, much as we hate the filthy capitalist bastard that is Jeff Bezos, I did order... Oh my god, I cannot get this out. Let me try to keep my address out of shot. I did order these effective knockoff key lights, right? I did order what basically amounts to Elgato key lights, but without the Stream Deck functionality. And they got here in 2 days. Like, this is fucking good, dude. But I haven't had a chance to put them up. They do come with little, so here we go, we got these. They're tiny, they're not very big, they're like the size of a phone. But they seem to do the whole lighting situation well, and they have little panels you can slot into them, little red, blue, and yellow panels you can slot into them to change the colors. So I'm going to fiddle around with those and try to actually, try to make that situation work with any luck. But yeah, I suppose if I do order something from Amazon, I can, at least according to current experience, reasonably expect it to get here within a couple of days. The other half is ordering 2 more of those lights. Nice, nice. I have not had a chance to really try them out because there's no space on my desk to set them up. I did order clamps to go with them, but clamps don't work on a trestle table, so there's that whole thing. Who was my favorite YouTuber? Probably Natalie Wynn, probably ContraPoints. Although I am quite fond of Shoe on Head. Jim Sterling's always good to watch. There's a few that I'm rather a fangirl of. What else was I going to say? We move on to another topic. I honestly, like, the reason I decided to pick the subject of changes and things like that. One thing is it's a very broad topic and you can just ramble on about various different things and the changes thereof. And secondly, I've had such a busy day, I haven't had time to actually plan out a schedule for tonight's stream. So, she's not really right-wing. She's liberal. She identifies herself as liberal. But a lot of people misinterpret some of the jokes she makes and some of the commentary she makes. Even then, I don't 100% disagree with the idea of watching creators who you don't politically align with, so that you can gain a perspective on what they think. Radio Nacho Girl. Sounds good. Her latest video was pretty good. But that becomes the issue with the content creation space, especially when you come to political YouTubers and things like that. There tends to be a lot of people who are very hardline in their own political stances, and if you don't directly align with what they think, you are immediately the enemy. Is the issue in that space, I think. I have seen the Bernie Sanders memes. They're amusing enough. You miss being a liberal. It's a shame they went full fash. This is the problem with the phrase fascism, fascist, fascism and fascist and all that. It's like people from both sides of the political spectrum throw that word around like crazy. And the ultimate end goal of fascism, of course, is complete and total control, authoritarianism. And it's hard to specifically define, I obviously think, especially the folks who tried to stage a coup on Capitol Hill, are absolutely fascies. They're all over the place, and it's funny for now. In a couple of days, the Bernie meme will be way overdone. Oh yeah, it's already at that point. The Bernie meme is already way overdone. Let me look up so I can rejig my memory on this, because I know, politically speaking, fascism has become a buzzword that is thrown back and forth between different political parties who believe they are not the fascist, the other people are the fascist, and here's a couple of reasons why that might align politically with one party or another party or another party. But at this point, I don't even know what liberal means. I'm pretty far left, though. Although, hang on, I read that bit. Still think of the last episode of Season 3 of Red Dwarf where young Lister calls everything fascist. I mean, it's always been a bit of a meme. It's always been a bit of a meme among, like, anarchistic types to call everything fascist. I think that was a thing in the young ones as well. That was a joke in the young ones. You know what, I'm going to turn this on for a sec. Oh my god. I'm going to turn that way the fuck down and turn my ring light on, because I've noticed I'm pretty dim at the moment. Let me just shrink this for a sec. There we go. Now I've got a bit of light on myself. Alright, so this is what I was talking about. I'm just using Wikipedia because Wikipedia is a good source. Fight me if you don't agree. The term fascist has been used as a pejorative regarding varying movements across the far right of the political spectrum. In George Orwell, there's that. We love to hear about George Orwell. Wrote in 1944, not in 1994. The word fascism is almost entirely meaningless. Almost any English person... Oh, fucking hell, I can't speak. Almost any English person would accept bully as a synonym for fascist. And that has become the issue. Is fascism itself is a political ideology. Like, it's an actual authoritarian nationalist ideology built entirely on supremacy and total control and imperialism, basically. It's, again, Wikipedia is the number one source for all things, characterized by dictatorial power. So you have a person in the leadership position who was either democratically elected in the first place or seized power. Forcible suppression of opposition, which tends to mean book burning, generally speaking, and of course political assassinations to retain power. A strong regimentation of society and the economy. That one, my thesaurus is personally escaping me right now. regimentation, I know what that means, of society and the economy, which came to prominence in early 20th century Europe. The first fascist movements emerged in Italy during World War I, Mussolini, before spreading to other European countries. Opposed to liberalism, democracy, Marxism, and anarchism, fascism is placed within the far right within the typical left-right spectrum. Is placed on the far right. If you hear another redneck quote 1984, they haven't read it. They haven't read it. That's the thing, is they'll just say, this is literally just like George Orwell's 1984 when they deplatformed Donald Trump. You didn't read it, you wankers. I didn't read it, and I know they're wrong. Here we go. Was it salty, sweet, or sour? We'll put this in there, why not? There we go. You got a thing to vote on. Why not? I have read the first couple of pages. I've been meaning to go back to it. You can get it for... I think you can either get most of it for free on Google Books, or you can get the whole thing for free on Google Books. You can read a fair chunk of it. They don't read it, they don't understand it, they misinterpret it and misuse it all the time. Yeah. The whole idea of... There was a good video that covered this whole concept. Again, haven't read the book, but I know the basic concept of it. Is that the 1984 portrayed in the book is directly an authoritarian regime where they re-educate people and they control people, and the whole point of the book is that this big brother entity is making sure that everybody is abiding by the law, like the strict rules. So China, as far as I know, honestly, China is the best synonym for 1984 as we know it. Like, it's the best example of that kind of rule. And the amount of freedoms that people are experiencing in America and things like that, like social media deciding to shut down a guy who literally attempted a fascist takeover, like an actual fascist takeover, not just being edgy here, not just calling Donald Trump and his simps fascists, but an actual attempted fascist takeover. I have to disagree with Arnold Schwarzenegger here, though. As much as I respect the man, I do. I have a lot of respect for Arnold Schwarzenegger and all that he's accomplished in his career. But I have to disagree with his assertion that the Capitol Hill raid was the Kristallnacht of America. They smashed a few windows and they caused a bit of chaos, and people did die. But the night of broken glass resulted in something like 93 deaths. And as far as I recall, I might have to... again, rejig my memory on this. As far as I recall, these radicals were in pre-Nazi Germany. Sauer wins with 3 votes, by the way. No, wait, it wasn't. It was in Austria. Was it in Austria? Let me look it up. Something like 93 people were dragged out of their homes into the streets and murdered. During... Was it? Is it going to show me? There we go. Kristallnacht. I believe it was something like that. Whereas the Capitol raid, not quite the same. Some people died. A few people died, but nowhere near as many. And the results really just showed how fragile the Cult 45 really is. Especially when you consider like a bunch of them surrendered to police. Like, that's even more hilarious. They legit tried to kill congresspeople by rounding them up, forcing them into tunnels and gassing them, but they didn't get that far. Which, I mean, we can speak to the idea that people who were involved in the Congress raid, the White House raid, they were planning on getting Congress people and killing them. They were trying to find the location of people like Pelosi and AOC and anyone who was even vaguely leftist to try to get them and obviously kill them. It did happen in Nazi Germany, then Austria, then Sudetenland. The historical German name for the northern, southern, and western areas of former Czechoslovakia. I see. Let me have a look through this. In Taiwan. I can't speak tonight. I can't read. In Taiwan, there is a band called Chthonic. There's a streamer called Chthonic. The vocalist is a part of Taiwan's Democratic Party and is openly for the legislation of gay marriage and weed. It's crazy that that's kind of controversial in other parts of the world. The legalization of gay marriage and weed. Whereas we're kind of past that point. And you can actually hope that that could symbolize things moving forward in those other parts of the world. It's like they're going through difficult times with those particular topics now, but given that we have moved past those and legislated for those and all that, you know, could see it as a potential good thing. Oops, wrong one. I wanted to change this. I think this cold light. I don't know. I think I'll stick with the cold lighting. Anyway. Hashtag gay weed. They actually messaged Cult45 telling them every turn they took. Numbers on the doors and walls, etc. Oh, great. That's marvelous, that is. So the fear, of course, that Arnold Schwarzenegger expressed in his video was that... Let me think here. So he mentioned that the Night of Broken Glass was a very, obviously, horrific event. A pogrom carried out against Jews by SA paramilitary forces and civilians throughout Nazi Germany on the 9th and 10th of November 1938. So like prelude to World War II, of course, where 11 million people died at the hands of the Nazi regime. 6 million of those were Jews, of course. New setup, yeah, Jelly. We've changed things around a bit. I'm going to be adding more lighting to this whole setup, so look forward to that. And we're going to try to get some light strips on this, so you can see my stuff. Fingers crossed for that one. Freddie Lim is his name in English, I see. And hey, Flicker, how's it going? How's it going? Abolitionist of capital punishment. I agree with that. I am absolutely anti-death penalty. I think it is more... the unfortunate reality of the situation is there are people who have been executed by death penalty for crimes they didn't commit. BLM burns down cities for 3 years. Antifa establishes 2 autonomous zones. Dozens die in the riots, yet the Capitol Red was an insurrection. BLM... domestic terrorist organization. Based on what? Every time somebody mentions the BLM riots and all that kind of... and the 3 years thing has me questioning quite a bit. Yeah, like what cities were burning down for 3 years? There were about 7 months there where the protests were ongoing, and there were absolutely agents provocateur, people who were not affiliated with BLM, starting violence to piss off the cops, which obviously, what happened there? Fuck, I've lost my train of thought. Don't do this to me! I've lost my train of thought. But there were protests that were non-violent. Until the cops showed up, until people starting shit amidst the... oh yeah, BLM is Black Lives Matter. There were protests that were non-violent until the violence was kicked off. And this comes back to that mob mentality thing. What was the thing that I was talking about? The... fucking Christ, I did research on this. The Solomon Asch conformity test, right? What happened in the Solomon Asch conformity test, for those of you who are not aware? I'll bring this back up again. There was the... Solomon Asch put a bunch of people in a room, told them to measure 3 lines up against a target line, and tell him which one was the matching line for it, right? Which one of these 3 lines over here matched up with the other one. And most of the participants got the answer wrong, and 33% of the time, or around about that too, I think, yeah, 1/3 of the time, the remaining person got the answer wrong because they were pressured into believing that they were incorrect. And I think we can associate that same kind of thing, although it would be kind of backwards. The situation of agents provocateur, right, is if you've got a protest, you've got a bunch of people fired up, you've got a bunch of people who are... we're trying to get the mob mentality thing linked up to this. If you have people amidst a protest who are doing their best to fire people up and get them to act violently, even people who are protesting non-violently can turn violent as a result of that kind of behavior. It takes like one spark to start a fire kind of thing. Get down. Come on. You're not allowed up there. Or down there. Go on, up you get. Calls for the destruction of the Western nuclear family. The Western nuclear family is a stupid concept. The nuclear family is a dumb concept, and quite frankly, normalizing different types of families is a very good thing. So to go out of your way to say that a movement dedicated to the liberation of black people. And I feel like I don't like talking about racial issues personally because I am a white person. I like to bring awareness to these issues, but I feel like it's not my place to say. It's not my place to make these assertions. But yeah, the Western style of family, again, not the best style. It's actually quite controlling and manipulative. The way that it's laid out, the portrayal of the Western nuclear family model is explicitly designed to make you as conformist as you possibly can. So when you see these right-wing pundits on social media say the leftists are trying to take this away from us, and they'll show you a picture of, you know, the dad in the suit coming home to his wife who's in her, quite honestly, pretty nice dress. But whatever, that's not the point. And the two young children running up to him, like they want to assert that this is the model that every American family should follow. Hello, cat. Yes, we can hear you. Hi. He spotted something. Sorry to get distracted, but my cat's found something. Excuse me. So, why is it not your place? Because I'm white. Quite frankly, I mean, I can think and I can form my own opinions on these things, but in the same way that I wouldn't want to discuss, for example, can we get that link cut from my chat? What else can I say? What's another example I can use? In the same way, you know what? Here's something that's relevant to me personally. And I've mentioned this several times before. I don't want to hear the criticisms that cisgender people have of trans people. And I don't want to put my thoughts out there on the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm in support of the Black Lives Matter movement, of course. But I feel like it's not my place to comment on that particular issue. Even though, you know, they have my support, and it's ultimately the Black Lives Matter movement is about equality, arguably. That's not the right word, though. Equality is not the right word, though. But there are a lot of people who are opponents to the concept of BLM, who see it as a black supremacy movement. But quite frankly, there has been so much institutionalized racism towards black folks, going back, obviously, to the foundations of America, obviously, that I've got the crystal knocked Wikipedia page up here, and it's distracting me because I keep looking back to it and losing my train of thought. Proud Boys and Boogaloo Boys are basically factions of KKK. Exactly, yes. Just say whether or not Proud Boys is a terrorist organization. If you assume you cannot have an opinion because of your... No, that's not racism. That's not what racism is. That is. Abby, that is. Me. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I can't speak for people of color. That's what I'm trying to get at. I cannot speak for people of color. I can express my support. Thanks for the hydration talk. I can express my support, and I do support them. And I do support similar movements here in Australia with regards to Aboriginal peoples in particular. But I cannot express from a personal level how it would affect me, you know? That's the tricky part, is talking about these particular things. Is I do not have a personal experience that would add a lot more to the conversation. Kind of hard to have troubling black supremacy when black people are being murdered by the cops with no repercussions. That was one of the big... that was one of the huge issues that sparked off the BLM movement. The death of George Floyd. Like, sit there and explain to me how you can justify a police officer, a representative of the law, keeping his knee on a man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Go. Explain that to me. How do you cover that? How do you justify that? I want to know. Like, give me the actual justification of how a police officer, a white police officer, by the way, what's the justification for him keeping his knee on a man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds? What's the justification for two white supremacists chasing down a jogger in... And I hate to use the phrase jogger, actually. That's kind of unfortunate that particular word in reference to Ahmaud Arbery, his name is very difficult to say. Ahmaud Arbery, was it him? Who was going for a jog in rural America. And these two white dudes in a ute, in a truck, whatever you call it, they pull up on him and they shot him in the back. I believe they shoot him in the back, or they shoot him... They thought the thing that they told the police the story they told the police is they believed he was stealing, but he was wearing jogging attire and he was jogging. He wasn't like running from anyone, he was jogging. And they chased him down and they shot him dead. Why? And we didn't find out about that till like 2 months after it happened, and the pressure mounted against the police because the police were trying to cover it up. The local police in that area were trying to cover up that killing. And again, you've got, what's her name? I've forgotten her name now. You mentioned it in chat. Breonna Taylor laying in her bed, asleep. Plainclothes police officers barged in, and her boyfriend gets up and completely his right, because I believe it's called castle right or whatever it's called. What's the phrase called? What's the law where you have the right to shoot an intruder in your home? If you have no idea, they didn't announce themselves, they barged in, they fired several shots blindly, hit her, killed her. I don't know if he got hit. I don't know if the boyfriend or husband, whatever her partner was, got hit or injured. Can you bring a white example of bad police work? You can, yeah. I mean, again, 1312. I am staunchly against the whole concept of the police. Defund them, reform them, abolish them. The concept of police has only been around for like 100 years. We can completely strip them away. Castle doctrine, known as castle law or defensive habitation law, is a legal doctrine that designates a person's abode or any legally occupied place. Thank you, Demonic Duchy. That's what I wanted. Castle doctrine. So they were asleep in their home. They hear the door get barged in. He gets up, grabs his gun, as he has every legal right to do, and fires on these intruders who he has no idea that they're cops. They do not announce themselves. You can't dismantle white supremacy without abolishing the police, exactly. The system of police is explicitly one of control, explicitly one of authoritarianism. Okay, you can't support the cops. If I see a thin blue line flag anywhere near you, I don't want to associate with you in any way, shape, or form. I just realized my lighting is fucked because my fucking... Hang on a sec. My clothes are in the way. There we go. That fixes it. Yeah, plainclothes police officers who barged into her house in the middle of the night in dark based on false information. Yeah, so what were we saying? He was 100% within his rights and the cops murdered him. There's a guy who was playing video games in his own home with his GF. Oh, I heard about this. He heard pounding at the door, got his gun and walked out, and was shot while putting his gun down. Yeah. So, like, the police specifically, this is the problem with the police system, especially in America, right? I don't know so much about Australian police issues. I don't tend to hear these kinds of stories from Australian cops, because it seems by and large Australian police officers have to go to university, have to train for at least quite a significant length of time, honestly. Whereas cops in America, it appears to me from an outsider looking in, all that I have heard, excuse me, is that they are woefully undertrained. They are dreadfully undertrained in the US. And it seems like you've seen the footage of the cops at Capitol Hill, right? Where they are being friendly with the people who are invading the White House. There are white supremacists entrenched in the police force, and there needs to be work to get that out of the police force, quite frankly. And even the situation, even beyond the white supremacy, there are some people who just literally want to be the guy with the gun in America, and that's the problem. Is like shoot first, ask questions later is just considered normal. It's just considered the thing that you do as a cop. So yeah, you come back to that situation with I forget what that guy's name was. The guy who was playing video games with his girlfriend, and he just gets shot dead. You going to bed, radio Nacho? Go, have a good one. Have a good sleep. So, it doesn't matter where in the house Breonna Taylor was. She was shot and killed by plainclothes police officers in the dark. You know. He shot after Breonna was shot. Yeah, so like the stats. Not the stats, that's not the phrase I want to use. 1313, that's all cops are cunts? That's probably, but 1312 is what we generally say. All cops are bastards! What is the origin of police in Australia? I dare say it's probably the same kind of situation as police in other parts of the world. You know, they're just a... yeah, we got a Smudge. We got Smudge here now. He's trying to move away from me, but I'm holding him here because I don't want him going near my computer. What is the origin of cops in Australia? I don't know. Generally speaking, just lawmen who are eventually given more of a formal role in justice keeping and all of that kind of thing. But though I've had negative interactions with cops, generally speaking, they do tend to be on a bit of a power trip. It doesn't seem like they're anywhere near as bad as American cops. So, like I said, I don't tend to hear stories about cops in Australia shooting people dead. All the fucking time. All the fucking time. Why are cops in America killing people so routinely? If you are justifying the routine murder of people in America at the hands of police officers, the people who are supposed to be enforcing the law, what are you doing? Why are you going out of your... Fucking Hellcat. Why are you going out of your way to justify continual institutional murder? Clarify that to me. You can answer it. Go ahead, Broken. The crux of discrepancies between American law enforcement and the civilians is the chance that everybody has some chance of reasonable threats from the norms and values like gun laws. One side calls upon a certain reaction from the other. They're trained to shoot first, ask questions later. Well, yeah. I believe I read somewhere that American cops are trained in like 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Do you think anyone has a solid understanding of the law in 8 weeks? Has a solid understanding of... I've lost my train of thought. Has a solid understanding of all the things that they need to do within 8 weeks. Do you think any of them are fit to be enforcers of the law in that frame of time? It's 5 to 6 years. Yeah, I had a friend who was going through university while she was working at Coles. I was working at Coles with her. She was studying at uni the entire time I was working there. I was there for about 3 years, and she got out of Coles. She'd been working there a few years before I got there, studying the entire time. And yeah, so she was continually telling me how she was training to be a cop, and she'd been studying for, at that point, 4 or 5 years by the time I left the shop. So that's the big difference there. It's a degree for police officers. You need to have serious education to be a cop. And they do have firearms here in Australia. I do believe cops here in Australia do have a pistol. The argument is since a large portion of Americans are armed with guns, so American cops are more on edge, not really a good justification to... Yeah, it's not. And I don't envy them. I know that there's more guns in America than there are people. And I think virtually every household would probably own one, quite frankly. Less training than makeup artists. Quite frankly, that's hilarious. It's disastrous and hilarious at the same time. It's frightening. Actually, on the Second Amendment thing, I actually have to read the U.S. Constitution. I want to actually read the whole thing. It's very short, for the record. This is what gets me right about the Black Lives Matter thing. Do you recall then President Trump telling his fan base, his rabid fan base of people, to exercise their Second Amendment rights? By the way, Black Lives Matter explicitly not the state. Black Lives Matter was not a state movement. Black Lives Matter was a rebellion movement, right? And what the Second Amendment explicitly says is, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, in the case of rebellion, is the argument being made here. Like, the right to bear arms is done so in the case of the state attempting oppressive regimes. You have the right to defend yourself. If, they start sending out attempted martial law, the people have the free right to maintain guns to defend themselves against that martial law. When Donald Trump said, exercise your Second Amendment rights against Black Lives Matter protesters, explicitly, he does not understand what the Second Amendment means. By any stretch of them, and neither do his rabid fanboys. There are over 5 million interactions with cops in the USA. How many of those end in wrongful murder? 5 or 10? Really? Not to mention, I mean, if we go into the gun thing, then we have the, then we also have the issue of just, I mean, maybe less so nowadays because of lockdowns and all that, but how prevalent school shootings are. Like, we hear about the big ones where a bunch of people die, right? But there is something like 2 or 3 school shootings a week in America. Not everyone is getting killed by them. You know, very rarely are people actually dying, but they are dying. People are getting shot and killed in schools, in school shootings. But that's a whole other thing. Even, you know, we're talking about the cop situation right now. Hate the argument here in the US that cops risk their lives every day. You did the math. According to the FBI, in 2019, 48 cops died in the line of duty. There are approximately 697,195 cops in the US in 2019, meaning the chances of dying on the job as a cop in 2019 was a whopping 0.00688%. Higher error rates in factory robots than American cops based on those statistics. Fox News is very biased, same with Sky News, ABC, and literally every single news source. There is no such thing as an unbiased news source. Even a centrist news source is technically biased towards the right because they're giving right-wing folks the benefit of the doubt here. A good argument would be trying to keep this relevant, trying to keep this topical. It's like the Black Lives Matter protesters are like, we want the right to live our lives without fearing that a cop is going to shoot us dead in the street over an incorrect assumption of our character. And the other side is like, what's a good, completely Nazi argument the other side would make? We fully believe that cops should not only do exactly what the other side is saying, but do so to an even greater level. We believe in genocide. And then you got the centrists who are like, let's hear both sides' arguments. Quite frankly, I think there's blah. I think they've both got good arguments to make. So the video of a kid with a shotgun who literally went to his classroom to kill himself with it, and the security guard saved his life. Shootings have still been pretty active. That's not surprising. That's morbid. That's fucking awful. It's like, that's not at all surprising. I can't be shocked by that. The fact that shootings are still going on even midst a pandemic. Does Trump understand any ethical value? Does it surprise you that he twists the words of written law to his own favor? Absolutely not. Somebody did a write-up of... Where was it? Somebody did a write-up of all the lies and fabrications and all the sort of stuff that he said in office. It's in the thousands. The amount of shit he's said that is flagrantly wrong in his 4 years as president is absurdly high. I don't even know how you can say so many lies. I'll see if I can find it. Somebody posted it in my Discord, I think. Join the Discord if you would like to. ! Discord if you want to jump into the Rogue Room. Let me see here. Trump campaign paid $2.7 million to organizers of rally ahead of the Capitol riot. There's a fun fact for you. Here we go. According to Soul Reaper, gave me this link. Washington Post says, in 4 years, President Trump made 30,573 false or misleading claims. How do you say that many false or misleading things? I have trouble saying one misleading thing a day, and I'm not trying. Fucking Christ, how does it... What? Most repeated claims... Should we go through this? This could be a good thing to go through. We'll go through this. Yeah, let's say 500 people are wrongfully killed by cops. What odds do you have to be killed by a cop? How is that not a good error? We don't want any error rate. We don't want cops killing people, period. If even one person dies to a cop, that's one person too many. That's it. That's the end of the discussion right there. If one person is killed by a cop, a police officer is not judge, jury, and executioner. They never should be. A police officer should never have the right to execute a person. Any error rate, especially with humans, is bad. However, we have the same phenomenon in the Dutch politics. We have some parties which you like to refer to as Trump-flavored political parties. We've got that here. Our government leadership is very Trumpist in their own way. They are the political parties that influence the part of the population that doesn't know jack shit except that they feel pissed off. Just point fingers and you'll get half the people on your side. Yes. That is sadly true. It's a very effective propaganda method. Is just make a target. This is what annoys me about Trump as a president. is he's so flagrantly trying to make an antagonist of anyone who opposes him. And that should have set off alarm bells immediately, but given how many people are so susceptible to the idea of needing an antagonist in their lives, needing an enemy, it was very effective at creating exactly the kind of regime that he wanted. Pancake Prime. Let's zoom this one in. There you go. No, I do make mistakes, but the problem is my mistakes don't result in people dying. Like, there is never a case. There is never a justification in any way, shape, or form that a police officer should be killing a person. Cops should not have guns. Only in the circumstance where they are going into, say, an active civil war zone, for example. If there is an actual situation where there is a gang war going on, and even then, how often is that coming up? Again, like we've said before, the cops in America, or a hostage situation, yeah, armed hostage takers, I should say. Non-lethal is still the best option. What the fuck did you miss, Jacinta? We're talking about how shit cops are. Jacinta knows how bad cops are. Aren't cops fucked? Not a peaceful protest. Yeah, exactly. How many people were just absolutely not even just talking about people who were killed amidst the BLM protests, but yeah, you don't need someone writing you a speeding ticket to have a gun. Exactly. Like, how many people did you see end up disabled as a result of getting hit in the face with rubber bullets, losing their eyes, people getting severe injuries to their internal organs getting hit with rubber bullets? They were using, in the Black Lives Matter protests, they were using a type of gas that violates the Geneva Convention. They were using a chemical weapon on protesters that violates the Geneva Convention. Okay? The Breonna Taylor. Yeah, enough said. Like, you can end the discussion there. Breonna Taylor. Done. Hell, I still believe George Floyd is where you can end the discussion. That's it. You can end the discussion at George Floyd. It does not, like, quite frankly, whether he had drugs in his system or not is entirely irrelevant. A police officer held his knee on a man's neck for just shy of 9 minutes. There is no justification for that. That's not just an execution, that's a slow and torturous execution. That's extremely unusual circumstances. Remember when cops ripped peaceful protesters out of wheelchairs? I do. Vaguely. It does sound familiar. Truly believe a police officer should be able to stop anything that might pose a threat to his life or that of another, but it has to be done in such a way that you are fully responsible. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Committing a crime should be a death sentence. I don't think so. I think you've got that backwards. The other three cops stood around. They are absolutely complicit as well. Should not be a death sentence. I'm fully anti-death penalty. And in that regard, I'm fully anti-cops owning guns. Cops should not have guns. One of the cops went on record with evidence saying the guy on his neck should have stopped. Oh, well, there you go. I think I do recall that. I don't know what happened to any of the other cops, though. Or what happened to the guy who had... I don't even remember the other guy's name. The guy that actually did the killing. The guy that actually committed the execution. I cannot remember what his name was. So here's something. I want to go through this. Since we're on the subject, let's talk about Trump and his lies throughout the presidency. I'm sorry for my little border over here. It's terrible. Need to fix it. This is a Washington Post article. President Trump made 30,573 false or misleading claims. The fact checkers database of the false or misleading claims made by President Trump while in office. Name doesn't deserve to be remembered. Yeah, true. There we go. Forget him. Forget the cop. Although... It does speak to the idea of we shouldn't forget these people, because if we do forget the perpetrators of such horrendous crimes and atrocities, then it just leaves the door open for those atrocities to happen again. That's my train of thought. Can you send a link? Yeah, drop a link. Shows system protects American policemen in several areas. Yes, for sure. I agree with that. So we built the greatest... So this is one of Trump's most repeated claims. We also built the greatest economy in the history of the world, powered by these policies. We built the greatest economy in the history of the... Why does he repeat himself? This is Trump's favorite false claim, so there should be no surprise that he said it twice in his farewell address. In this database, we only count a falsehood once per venue. By just about any key measure in the modern era, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Lyndon B. Johnson, and Bill Clinton presided over a stronger economic growth than Trump. The gross domestic product grew at an annual rate. I'll zoom this in a bit. An annual rate, where were we now? I've lost it. Of 2.3% in 2019, slipping from 2.9% in 2018 and 2.4% in 2017. But in 1997, 1998, and 1999, GDP grew 4.5%, 4.5%, and 4.7% respectively. Yet even that period paled in comparison with the post-war boom in the 1950s or 60s. Growth between 1962 and 66 ranged from 4.4 to 6.6%. In 1950 and 1951, it was 8.7 and 8% respectively. Meanwhile, the unemployment rate reached a low of 3.5% under Trump, but dipped as low as 2.5% in 1953. And the unemployment rate thing, the thing is, you could state that there might be less unemployed people, but those people are probably underemployed. As in, they would be working in jobs. There's a lot of people who are severely underemployed in that they are working under a system where they are possibly working 40, maybe even 80-hour weeks in jobs that cannot cover their cost of living. Website is a scroll down story. All right. I'll have a look in a moment. After the novel coronavirus tanked the economy, Trump jacked up his claim even more, falsely saying it had been the greatest economy in the history of the world. This marks the 493rd time that Trump used a variation of this line, meaning he said it on average every other day. Yeah, I strongly do not believe that the death penalty should exist in any capacity. There's no need for capital punishment by any stretch. The thing that makes you physically ill is people fully and irrevocably believe him, to the extent that anyone that shows actual facts with several sources, they just completely dismiss it. Again, this comes back to the whole thing with the election fraud situation, where he was claiming the Democrats stole the election, and he never provided any evidence of this. And then when it came time for everyone, like when it came time for the Capitol Hill raid, and he's like saying, oh, trying to keep the democratic process honest. Like, you didn't need to. The democratic process worked. You lost the popular vote. You lost the electoral college. That's how democracy... That's how democracy works, dickhead. Like, he had absolutely zero evidence to back up his claim that the election was stolen, that there was any election fraud, and there were like something like 48 cases that he brought up that were completely thrown out of court based on no evidence. I think, was it 48 cases? He doesn't need any evidence. Reasonable doubt in one state will be enough to get a legal foothold in claiming that it was rigged. And that's, unfortunately, like, it could have worked. It could have worked, but we should be thankful it didn't. Because, again, I fully believe, by the actual definition of the term, Trump was pushing for a fascist regime. And the fact that he did so as effectively as he did could lead down the road to a follow-up presidency, not necessarily by him, but by somebody else who's aligned with him, who's just as charismatic, to take the reins and do exactly what he tried to do. And it could work this time. That's what I'm worried about. Didn't you hear about Donald Trump? Didn't you hear Donald Trump is a perfect example of a Christian? He values the institution of marriage so much he's on his third. Yeah, he made a full-on commercial stating he was going to be president forever. Like, that was completely on his own Twitter account, which now we can't even go and look it up, where he did that thing where it's like, Trump 2020, Trump 2024, and it's just signs going back through, like, the next 50 election cycles, Trump 2036, etc., etc., etc. Like, that should have set off alarm bells in your head, though. Isn't that what has happened all the time so far? People being placed to please the masses? Absolutely. Absolutely. But at the very least, under a Biden regime, at least they're not trying to extinguish LGBTQ plus people. There's that thing. I wish they'd give him his Twitter back so he had something to laugh at again. Yeah, it'd be funny. But at the same, like, I'm so disappointed that we didn't get to see his tweets in the wake of the Biden inauguration. Imagine him live tweeting the Biden inauguration. That would have been absolutely top tier Twitter content. And we just lost the opportunity. It's so bad. Wondering how Trump made it acceptable to swear in Supreme Court judges in the blink of an eye. Yeah, I'm not quite sure on the specifics of that one. I don't know how exactly that went through. The whole concept of Supreme Court judges being in there for life, though, is kind of absurd to me. I don't know how that is possible for any kind of position in Congress or what have you, or not Congress, but in a setting that has as much power as a Supreme Court justice does. Kind of baffling that it's kind of baffling that you have roles in government that you can sit in until you die. That feels like a really bad system. I don't know. I don't trust that. Sincerely hope someone out there has a record of every tweet. Well, the government does. The government does have every single tweet that he tweeted during his presidency on record. And Twitter more than likely does. Because every single thing, every piece of communication he puts out is presidential communication. So thereby they have to keep an archive of it. So everything he ever tweeted during his presidency is a federal archive now. Whether we can access that or not is another issue, but it would be nice to... I wonder if we can Wayback Machine his tweets. Because Republicans controlled the Senate and they just approved anyone he put up because they only care about party, not country. Absolutely. Someone tell Kim Jong-un I have a bigger nuclear button than you and more powerful. You know what's funny? You know what's fucking hilarious to me? Is when he was leaving the White House, he took the nuke codes with him. As if they don't change those the moment that he's out of office. Like, what are you going to do with those, buddy? What are you going to do with those? They're useless now. They changed them. You fucking idiot. There was one judge who was pretty young of age, like half the normal age you would have to be becoming a Supreme Court judge. She had less than a decade of experience and was sworn in at 15 minutes to midnight. Yeah, I can't remember who that was. What are we going to do? This one. Here we go. Let him keep something. He's lost everything else. Oh, poor Diddums. I do wonder if we're going to see him get arrested or anything like that. That would be highly amusing. For cops who kill, special Supreme Court protection. The US High Court's continual refinement of an obscure legal doctrine has made it harder to hold police accountable when accused of using excessive force. Sick with pneumonia, agitated and confused, Johnny Leisure refused to return to his hospital room. Moments later, with 3 police officers pinning him on the floor, Leisure was dead at age 34. This is rather an interesting way of doing this. Staff at the local hospital in tiny Madill, Oklahoma called the police in the early evening. How did I get... Fuck it. Of March 24, 2011 for help giving Johnny Leisure an injection to calm him. Security cameras captured much of the ensuing encounter. The officers, after shooting Leisure with a stun gun, follow him down a corridor, shock him again and wrestle him to the floor. One officer then straddles Leisure's back, trying to handcuff him as the others struggle to pull back his arms. They get one handcuff on, Leisure goes limp. The officers step back, hospital staff drop to Leisure's side and begin a futile effort to resuscitate him. The Oklahoma Chief Medical Examiner's Office determined that Leisure, his lungs already compromised by pneumonia, was starved for oxygen in his struggle with the police and died from respiratory insufficiency. The county sheriff and the Madill police chief defended the officer's actions as appropriate to the situation. The cops were not charged with any wrongdoing. Irma Aldaba, however, blamed the officers for her son's death. "My son wasn't a criminal, my son was sick," she said in an interview. Irma Aldaba sought to hold police liable for her son's deadly encounter with police, but qualified immunity ended her lawsuit before it could even get to trial. So Aldaba took the only other route open to people in her situation. She sued. Her lawsuit in federal court in Muskogee, Oklahoma, alleged that the 3 officers used excessive force, violating her son's civil rights under the 4th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which protects against unreasonable search and seizure. But almost immediately her case hit a formidable obstacle, a little-known legal doctrine called qualified immunity. This 50-year-old creation of the US Supreme Court is meant to protect government employees from frivolous litigation. In recent years, however, it has become a highly effective shield in thousands of lawsuits seeking to hold cops accountable when they are accused of using excessive force. I did not know this. This is actually very good information to have. Excessive force, zero justice. Even when courts find police used too much force, they still often grant immunity. Here are a few of those cases. David Becker suffers brain damage after a cop smashes him to the ground in Heber City, Utah. Keep scrolling. Oh, I will. Like, look at this. You can tell. What's he doing? What's he doing? Like that. Yeah, absolutely. Why did you need to slam him like that? Swamp Gurker. Everyone in this chat is cute, cool, or awesome. Awesome or cool. Don't know which one you are, but you're one of them. Pick your poison and don't you dare lie. I'll take cute. I like being cute, honestly. That's why I do makeup. People bitched and moaned about Barack Obama wanting to fill a Supreme Court justice approximately a year before an election, but they turned right around and replaced RBG. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the ridiculous thing, is like they bitched and moaned about that, and they did everything in their power to stop appointing a Democrat Supreme Court justice, and then with RBG they just absolutely threw all of that out. They do not. This is the thing about the right wing. I'm going to throw this out there. This is the thing about the right wing. They do not play by the rules, and the left wing do play by the rules, or what we generally consider the progressive party in most countries in the world. They try to play by the rules. They try to play respectively, or respectfully, sorry. But the right-wing parties have no interest in playing respectfully. They have every single interest in cheating to get everything through. They don't care about the legislation that says they can't do this, that, or the other. And if there is something that's so hard that they can't maneuver around it, they will twist and contort words to their advantage to get the things they want pushed through. And they will absolutely be as hypocritical as humanly possible when it comes to things that are going to explicitly benefit them. And that's the issue. It's not just police, courts, judges, the whole system is fucked, absolutely. Grifters with actual power. Right wing doesn't care who sees their perspective, left wing tries to smile everything off as well as a well-considered choice. Bends the rules to an extent, yeah. You're doing a fantastic job of being cute. Thank you. But yeah, I've noticed this. There is a good video on this very specific thing. I've forgotten who exactly did this video, but talking at length about that notion that right-wing political parties will just take every possible advantage they can, and left-wing political parties are going to go out of their way. Thank you for the hydration, Azera. Thank you for keeping me on the ball. We haven't had a be right back yet. Well, we did briefly when I went to get my water bottle. I might have to go take a leak in a moment. Yeah, left-wing political parties tend to try to play by the rules so that they look more respectable in the eyes of the populace, of course. I mean, almost every politician is corrupt in some way, let's be honest with ourselves. But there are the parties that try to look honest. There are the politicians that try to look honest. And there are other politicians who just want to win. And that's kind of the problem you have. It's like you can't have a fair democracy when you've got one side that is going to cheat every opportunity they get. Anyway, I'm going to take this as a moment to be right back, take a leak. You guys go take a leak as well. And we'll be back very shortly with some more of this. We'll continue to go through this article. If you are chilling out here and you are interested in supporting the stream, please hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy the content, please support my ridiculous endeavors on Twitch. Meanwhile, I'm going to go take a leak. I'll catch you in a moment, folks. G'day. I have returned to no new subscribers. What is this bullshit? What am I, free entertainment to you scrubs? You should be paying me out the ass for this. This is incredible content. I deserve money for it. I mean, that's the ambition,
Welcome
right?
to the Rogue Room. We
Demonic
hope
Duchy,
you
welcome
enjoy
to the
your
Rogue
stay.
Room. Thank you so kindly for hanging out with us tonight. Sit down and grab us a drink. Sit down and grab a drink. And chill. And vibe. Got myself some Moscato and Pinot Grigio. Paid for by last month's subs. Actually, no, it wasn't. Here's a fun story. I don't make a ton of money on Twitch, but I will concede that I do, generally speaking, get a payout every month. Not a whole lot, but it does help. But this most recent payout came into my account and immediately had to go out again because I had to buy essentials. I believe there are non-alcoholic Moscatos at the supermarkets. You can have a look. What time is it there? It's about 8 p.m. It's about 8 p.m. Not too late. Probably going to stop streaming around 9. Probably not going to go for too long. I never go for more than 3 hours, really. I try to keep the streams to about 3 hours in length nowadays, because I feel like it's been good for viewership, honestly. Like, people tend to stick around if the stream is more compact and I'm not dragging it out for hours and hours. And I like that. I like that format a lot more. Keep things punchy, you know? Oh, you're going to get going. Good night, Jelly. Have a good one. Thank you so kindly for being here. You can't time zone right now. Well, I'm in AEDT. A virtual margarita. What's a virtual margarita? Should we continue looking at this? I promise I will fix my border. I hate this border at the moment. It looks fucking garbage. Even when courts find police use too much force, they still often grant immunity. Yes. Laszlo Laditz is shot dead while in a car and trying to reverse away from police in Ferndale, Michigan. Oh, I remember this one. I remember seeing this one. Absolutely, again, not a justification. Garrett Voss, during mental health crisis, is shot dead exiting a store in Newport Beach, California. Jesus. How many cops are there? How many police are there? And they thought to kill him. They thought to shoot the guy. Let's continue going through this. At first, it looked like Aldaba would clear the hurdle. The judge hearing her case and then a federal appeals court rejected the officer's claims of qualified immunity. The appeals panel based its decision on a 2-question test courts used to weigh police requests for immunity. The first is whether the evidence shows or could convince a jury that the officers used excessive force in violation of the Fourth Amendment. The second question is whether the officers should have known they were breaking clearly established law, a Supreme Court coinage for a court precedent that had already found similar police actions to have been illegal. To both questions, the court determined the answer was yes. Then, at the officer's request, the Supreme Court intervened. The justices ordered that the appeals court to reconsider its ruling, indicating that they disagreed with the lower court. Welcome back, Broken. You don't have the ingredients to one right now, so you're fantasizing about having a margarita. Good stuff. Come have some Moscato with me. Back at the appeals court, Aldaba's lawyer argued, as he had the first time around, that the cops' treatment of Leisure was clearly established as illegal. To support his argument, he cited earlier cases in which police were held liable for using excessive force on unarmed, mentally compromised people. Not similar enough, the court now said, so the cops had no reason to think they were breaking the law. The police got immunity. Aldaba's case was dead. It makes me feel there was a mistake, but we can't win, Aldaba 60 said. We can't win fighting the cops. This is the big problem. You're going with vodka tonight? That's a good choice. Vodka's a good choice. This is a huge problem. Like, we can't win fighting the cops. There should be no immunity there should be no immunity at all for a government official, for a government employed person to get away with, like I said numerous times before, there is no justification for cops to kill a person. Cops are not allowed to be executioners. This is why we say defund the police. This is why we say reform the police. This is why we say abolish the police. I think I like the last one the most. Abolish the police. And if we're going with reform, if we're going with defund and reform, at the very least, cops, every cop on the force right now should be fired, should lose their immunity. Qualified immunity does need to stop being a thing. Every cop on the force today should be fired, except for maybe the well-performing ones, I don't know. And they should do it like we do it in Australia. Every police officer should be expected to have a university degree in this shit. They should know the laws inside and out, and they should not be armed with a lethal item that can kill people. But of course you do have the issue there of so many people in America having guns. So if you take away the cops' ability to have a gun against people that have guns. You haven't seen the new background setup? Hey Calguy, how's it going? We're talking about cops. I've also got a light strip. I need to find somewhere to put it. We're still debating on where I'm putting this. Either behind my bed, somewhere on my shelving. I might put it behind my bed and get separate ones for shelving. Talking about bastards. So I'll answer your question off brand McDonald's. Did I go from... Honestly, I haven't had someone assume I went from girl to guy. I'm a chick. I'm a trans girl. I was assigned male at birth, which was a mistake, and I have since tracked down the doctor who assigned me the incorrect gender at birth, and I'm going to brutalize him after I'm done with stream tonight. I'm going to go find him and beat the shit. We're talking about cocks. We can if you want. Talk about dicks. Thank you for that shout out for Beth and Calgar. Well, for 2 nerds on a couch. I haven't seen you stream. You guys haven't streamed in a bit. Or have you only recently streamed again? Been a while since I've seen you online. For legal reasons, that was a joke, Twitch. I meant I'm going to hunt the doctor down in Minecraft. In Minecraft. Yeah. For legal reasons, that's a joke. Oh, birthday stream! Fucking awesome. Happy birthday. Can I get you a round of applause? I don't have any appropriate sound effects. There you go. A round of applause. Birthday stream. Very nice, very nice. Doctor Whom. Doctor Whomst. I never could get into Doctor Who. I really couldn't. Any governing party from an ancient society has had at least a system of 3 pillars of society which acted as a social check for whatever other government pillar was doing and prevent them from misusing power. A good example is the Roman governmental structure where you have the consuls who represented the wealthy families and army commanders, the Senate being the aristocratic branch, and the Assembly, the democratic assembly. I see. I have a cat. Can you pog face? Can you do pog face for the stream? He doesn't want to be here now. Off you fuck. You see this over here? You see this fucking... That's his mat that he came with. I bought him. When I bought this stupid cat, that's a rug that he had at the animal shelter. Because this little old lady, the story goes that this little old lady would make little mats. Little rugs, little blankets for the animals. She'd come in and donate these little blankets to the animals. And that was Smudge's one. And he liked it for a while. Now he fucking hates it. He won't go near the fucking thing. I put it there because I thought, you can sleep there, Smudge. That can be your spot. Fuck no. He doesn't give a shit. However, I've got this Amazon box, and I might actually, oh, hydrate, hang on. I'll get this Amazon box, empty out the stuff in it, and I'll chuck it over there and see if that gets, you know what, let's do it now, hang on. Let's do it now, fuck it. Alright, so get rid of my little fake key lights. I'm down here. Hello. I got key lights, I got clamps, I got rubbish galore. I'll have to throw all that out. Oh yeah, the lights that I got, for anyone wondering. The ones that I got came with these cool things. So these don't come with stream lights, with key lights. I got panels to make my little fake key lights change colors. So once I eventually get those set up, I need a desk next before I can actually do those. Anywho, okay, we'll put those over there. We'll put all that stuff over there out of the way. Rubbish out of here. Now, it does have... Yes. Put it like this, alright? Let's try something, alright? Here we go. We'll try to put the blanket in the box properly. There we go. Let's try this. Alright, let's see if this works. You know what I'll do? I'll motivate him a little bit. Come on. Come on, you little shit. He's sitting there hanging off the edge of this little shelving unit he's on, and he's not going for the laser. Come on, go. Move! Oh my god, he's not... He won't... It's the light is like right in front of him, he won't even swipe at it. He's looking at it, not keen on it. Okay, I'm gonna move you in there. And now we wait. Not the chair! There we go, he's going for the laser now on the chair. That's not what we want. No, God! There's wine there. Oh my fucking God. No, he doesn't want anything to do with it. Maybe he doesn't like the blanket. At any rate, he nearly knocked my fucking wine onto my stream deck. Ugh. Chair smells like you and the box doesn't. What a wanker. Further down the website it goes in depth into how the... Still in the intro. Oh god. Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. And we've got... The scroll bar is like over here. Maybe the blanket reminds me of Rescue Place. Maybe it does. I'm going to put my wine right here where it's like secured between my monitors. Hopefully he can't knock it over. Smudge with the heel turn. He has no interest in being a good cat right now. Anyway, shall we go back to this? Okay, so qualified immunity, grant or deny. Have a look at this. I've lost chat. Come back, chat. Come back to me, baby. A gust of wind blew your juice onto your handbag. Oh no. He does have, like, I've noticed the cat does like a lot of, Smudge likes a lot of the, like, lounges I've got at the moment. He likes lounges. He likes the... Oh, did it redeem? What did you redeem? I'll suggest poll. Should Smudge get a friend? Hang on. I didn't see that. Alright, hang on.
The Rogue Room appreciates your recommendation.
Excuse me, Lee, thank you so kindly for the host, mate. There we go. Passion fruit and pineapple. Should Smudge get a friend? This should be interesting. And then, while we're waiting for the answers on that, qualified immunity, grant or deny. Appellate courts apply a two-part test to determine whether to grant immunity to police accused of using excessive force. Here's how the test was applied in 252 cases from 2015 to 2019. That alone is fucked up. Was applied in 252 cases across 4 years. How often do these cops need to say to themselves and to the court system, did we use excessive force, maybe? Was that a bit much? Like, Jesus. You'll probably notice that this song's from the video I just did. For anyone who hasn't seen my latest video, type exclamation mark new vid, and you can check out Cancelled. My latest video on cancel culture. Because I want people to watch it. If you haven't already seen it, please go watch it. It's well worth your time. That's 5.25 immunity grants a month on average. Fucking Christ. The worst place. Oh, hello, Lucy. I keep forgetting who's who. Calgar I recognize. My sister I recognize. Jacinta I recognize. There's the issue of people having usernames as opposed to real names. Like, you know what annoys me though is people who have usernames that are different across every single social media they use. So I'm just like, somebody will send me a message and I'm like, who are you? And then they're just like, oh, I'm this person on Twitch and I'm this person on Twitter. I'm like, why do you have a different username on every single platform? You're not Moist Critical. You can't get away with it. Anyway, where were we? In Part 1, the court considers whether police used excessive force in violation of the Fourth Amendment of the US Constitution. If yes, the court moves to Part 2 of the test. If no, qualified immunity is immediately granted. Since 2009, the Supreme Court has allowed appellate courts to skip Part 1. Courts have increasingly chosen this option. So hang on. Whether police use it. So they skip Part 1, they go to Part 2. Is that a good thing? Moist is good. I like Moist Critical, but I do think he is a bit too centrist leaning on certain things. He's one of those I don't care, politics isn't for me kind of blokes, which I dislike. But generally speaking, he's okay as a creator. I had a few people change Twitch name on you, which broke your bot for certain redeems. Yeah, it's like, could a jury find excessive force? Yes. In Part 2, the court determines whether police should have known their actions violated the Constitution because court precedent clearly established their conduct as unlawful. If yes, the case goes to trial. If no, qualified immunity is granted. In more than half the cases during this period. Oh. What was the result of the poll? I forgot to check. I didn't check the result of the poll. What did it say? I was too busy reading. Did someone say yes? Someone say no? What was the answer? Does Smudge deserve a friend? I've considered this. Yes, 1 by 1. Okay. How many votes? Democratically, we have decided that Smudge deserves a friend. But economically, it's not in the budget right now. We cannot economically afford... If we do that, if we allow immigration of more cats into this household, it's going to destroy the economy. Okay? We need to establish that right now. If we allow more cats to immigrate to this household, the economy will be broken. Will be destroyed by these immigrants. Also, probably the furniture. Anyway. In more than half the cases during this period, the court granted immunity to the police. That's fucked up. Effective barrier. Aldaba's lament has become an increasingly common one. Even as the proliferation of police body cameras and bystander cell phone video has turned a national spotlight on extreme police tactics, qualified immunity, under the careful stewardship of the Supreme Court, is making it easier for police officers to kill or injure civilians with impunity. Again, I'm going to reiterate that no police officer, period, has the authority to kill a person. They never should. They should never give themselves the executioner role. There is no circumstance in which a police officer should be killing someone. I'm going to make that stance very well known around here. Because you know why green is cold with the chicken never does ice cream, but cheese isn't wet. Cheese can definitely be wet. Cheese can definitely get wet. If your cheese is wet, throw it out. That cheese is out of date. That cheese will make you sick if you eat it. If you've got wet cheese, throw it out. It's got moisture on it, get rid of it. Hashtag Abby from marketing. Dude, if I was in marketing, I wouldn't be doing this shit. I would be capitalist as all fucking hell. Because I've noticed that. I'm going to just ramble about capitalism a bit because I love to ramble about capitalism. I've noticed quite a few people, when they are at a certain point in terms of income, generally speaking, it depends on their career choices, of course, as well. But generally speaking, I've found certain people of certain income levels are much more favorable towards capitalism because, of course, they are. They've gotten to that position because they make a lot of money off other people's work, off other people's labor. I've noticed quite a few people are like, oh yeah, capitalism is great. Capitalism does a lot of good things. When they are explicitly benefiting from that labor that people below them. Yeah, the shitty system works for me. And I'm like, somebody said this to me recently, and I don't want to argue the point with them because aside from that point, they said, but capitalism is good. And I'm just like, I don't really want to argue this point with you Because otherwise, I don't want to start a whole thing. Because I don't have any other problem with you besides that. But I explicitly disagree. And the thing that annoys me the most is people will say, oh, but capitalism brought us this, and this, and this, and this. Completely, first of all, ignoring all the failings of capitalism. The poverty that happens under capitalism and all of that. There's so many things wrong with capitalism as a system. The fact that profit is inherently stealing from the laborers to an excessive degree. And of course, the fact that capitalism, the system of capitalism, if there is so much capital being produced for the economy, why is there so much homelessness? Why is any percentage of that profit not being redirected to protect the less fortunate? You know, the systems that explicitly oppress certain types of people. It's very, very cheap to fix poverty in America. It's very, very cheap. They could easily afford it. They actively choose not to. Because that means giving up a tiny portion of their billions and trillions of dollars. Yeah, capitalism built your iPhone? No, labor did. We could still have the means of production. We could still have iPhones and video games and gaming PCs and all of this kind of shit in a socialist society. We could still have all these things and have the ability for people to not be struggling, not be dying because they can't afford to buy rice, you know? Child labor. Capitalism relies on a percentage of poverty to work while at the same time deriding those people that are affected by it in order to incentivize the middle classes to make the rich richer. Yes. Absolutely. Our country is run by capitalists. Welcome to the Netherlands. We got money and the best healthcare system. What we don't show is the huge tax evasion system and under-the-table tax deals with big companies. And that's really the case across the world, honestly. Capitalism may be the reason we have this technology today instead of in 10 years. Is it worth it? Debatable, yeah. I mean, really. Like, does it matter that much? Maybe the technological progress could be argued. This is the thing. We have the systems we have now due to capitalism and what it has done. But then we can argue the point of, like, we haven't tried the alternatives. Not to an extent, not to a worldwide scale. So to say capitalism gave us all of this stuff when we have no other metric to go by is a silly argument in itself, you know? And again, yeah, capitalism explicitly works to keep certain people below the poverty line, to keep certain people struggling. And it's a dreadful system. Absolutely dreadful system. But anyway. I'll just spontaneously ramble about capitalism at will for no good reason. Anywho. Can't live a life of what-ifs too, because you'll stall progress. Arguably, yes. Anyway, where were we with this? We saw that bit. The Supreme Court's role is evident in how federal appeals courts, which take their cue from the High Court, treat qualified immunity. In an unprecedented analysis of appellate court records, Reuters found that since 2005, the courts have shown an increasing tendency to grant immunity in excessive force cases, rulings that the district courts below them must follow. The trend has accelerated in recent years. It is even more pronounced in cases like Liges, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. When civilians were unarmed in their encounters with police, and when courts concluded that the facts could convince a jury police actually did use excessive force, in excessive force cases against police, the courts favored police 44% of the time, favored the plaintiff 56% of the time. Or was that like in 2005 to 2007 and 2017 to 2019? Favored the police 57% of the time and the plaintiff 43% of the time. Probably like Leia. Oh yeah, true. It's a Hispanic name, so Leia might be, or Leia might be a better. What does owning the means of production look like? I mean, in my personal opinion, owning the means of production would mean members of the company, of staff, people who are actually working, own some manner of share in the company's production value. But that's a lot more in depth than I am qualified to discuss. It's getting late/early for me here and way past your bedtime. Kinda don't have one. Well, yeah, true. You all heckin' cute. Have a good night. Have a good one, Beth. Have a good time. Have a good sleep. We'll catch you later. We'll see you around. I'm sure we will. Alright. Shall we continue? Yeah, like the owning the means of production thing is very tricky. Because, like, there was a case a little while back where Coles, when I was working for Coles, they gave us the option to buy stock in Wesfarmers, the company that owns Coles. At some point, I forget exactly when that was a while ago. Something they had never done before, or something that was very infrequently done. And that to me is kind of skewing in that direction, gives you a bit of input on how the company runs things, but by the people, for the people, not by the people, for the wealthy. Yeah, generally speaking. I forget which company it was not Amazon, by the way, for the record, let's get that out of the way now. Somebody did a breakdown relatively recently of, I forget where I saw this. I need to save these sources so I can refer back to them later on. But they said if a certain company, certain very well-known company, paid every one of its workers the same wage, everyone working at the company would be making $405,000 a year. Easily. And if that doesn't tell you what the issue is, I don't know what to tell you. Anywho, back to police murdering people. Reuters found among the cases it analysed more than 3 dozen in which qualified immunity protected officers whose actions had been deemed unlawful. Outside of Dallas, Texas, 5 officers fired 17 shots at a bicyclist who was 100 yards away, killing him in a case of mistaken identity. So they mistook this guy, assumed he was someone else, shot him, killed him. In Heber City, Utah, an officer threw to the ground an unarmed man he had pulled over for a cracked windshield, leaving the man with brain damage. In Prince George's County, Maryland, an officer shot a man in a mental health crisis who was stabbing himself and trying to slit his own throat. Like, that's not exactly how you solve that problem, sir. The increasing frequency of such cases has prompted a growing chorus of criticism from lawyers, legal scholars, civil rights groups, politicians, and even judges that qualified immunity as applied is unjust. It basically explicitly is. Spanning the political... He was trying to help. For fuck's sake, I shouldn't be laughing at that. Suicide by cop, though, is a real thing. So... But yeah, if he's having a mental health crisis... not exactly the... Like, cops are not qualified to deal with that. Spanning the political spectrum, this broad coalition says the doctrine has become a nearly fail-safe tool to let police brutality go unpunished and deny victims their constitutional rights. That is some dark humor. That's an actual dark joke. That's an actual dark joke, by the way. There's a lot of people out there who will go out of their way to say, oh, I've got a really dark sense of humor, and then just say the N-word. Like, this is... Remember that CEO started paying himself 70 grand a year so he could pay his workers more. Productivity went up, as well as the workers' average happiness. Yes, I do remember that. I do recall that. I actually think I just started following him on Twitter. I forget what his name is. But it does work. The system does work. The idea does work. Your name is your game. It's just the tip of the iceberg. So hang on, where were we at? The High Court has indicated it is aware of the mounting criticism of its treatment of qualified immunity. After letting multiple appeals backed by the doctrine's critics pile up, the justices are scheduled to discuss privately as soon as May 15, which, if any of 11 such cases they could hear later this year. How recent is this? Does it say how recent this article is? Was this like just... I don't want to scroll all the way back up. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, one of the court's most liberal members, and Clarence Thomas, its most conservative, have in recent opinions sharply criticized qualified immunity, and the court's role in expanding it. Maybe on the bottom, okay. In a dissent to a 2018 ruling, Sotomayor, joined by fellow liberal Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, well there you go, she's still alive as of that, wrote that the majority's decision favoring the cops tells police that they can shoot first and think later, and it tells the public that palpably unreasonable conduct will go unpunished. In that case, Kizella vs. Hughes, the justices threw out a lower court's ruling that denied immunity to a Tucson, Arizona cop who shot a mentally ill woman 4 times as she walked down her driveway holding a large kitchen knife. Like, fuck, dude. Even in the instance that you are trying to subdue someone with a weapon, shoot the weapon! Like, this is what I mean. Like, they are not trained, they are not qualified to be dealing with this shit. They should be able to shoot a knife out of someone's hand.
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
Welcome to the Rogue Room, Brendan PNG. How you doing, friend? Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with us while we talk about how police immunity is fucking killing people. A year later, Sotomayor, in another dissent, called out her fellow justices for a disturbing trend of favoring police. We have not hesitated to summarily reverse courts for wrongly denying officers the protection of qualified immunity, Sotomayor wrote, citing several recent rulings. We rarely intervene where courts wrongly afford officers the benefit of qualified immunity. To be fair, a weapon is small and target and hard to hit. Maybe we should be going with more... Yeah, rubber bullets. Like, in some way try to... Like, less than lethal. Less than lethal should be the standard, quite frankly. Try to stop them from being able to stab you with the kitchen knife or what have you. There is no circumstance in which you needed to shoot a woman 4 fucking times. Christ. Sotomayor was responding to the majority's decision to not hear an appeal brought by Ricardo Salazar Limon, who was unarmed when a Houston police officer shot him in the back, leaving him paralyzed. A lower court had granted the officer immunity. The fuck? Dude, everything I read about this is just dreadful. This is like the level of... The level here is similar to reading about the situation with... What was that event that got rid of guns in Australia? Port Arthur. Forgot about Port Arthur, that one. For the cases that... Oh, wait. The Reuters analysis supports Sotomayor's assertion that the Supreme Court has built qualified immunity into an often insurmountable police defense by intervening in cases mostly to favor the police. Over the past 15 years, the High Court took up 12 appeals of qualified immunity decisions from police, but only 3 from plaintiffs, even though plaintiffs asked the court to review nearly as many cases as police did. The court's acceptance rate for police appeals seeking immunity was 3 times its average acceptance rate for all appeals. For plaintiffs' appeals, the acceptance rate was slightly below the court's average. More zoom-ins on my face, okay. Alright, cool. I'll do that. In the cases it accepts, the court nearly always decides in favor of police. The High Court has also put its thumb on the scale by repeatedly tweaking the process. It has allowed police to request immunity before all evidence has been presented, and if police are denied immunity, they can appeal immediately, an option unavailable to most litigants, who typically must wait until after a final judgment to appeal. You get the impression that the officers are always supposed to win and the plaintiffs are supposed to lose, University of Chicago law professor William Board said. In his research, Board has found that qualified immunity as a doctrine enjoys what he calls privileged status on the Supreme Court, which extends to cases the court decides without even hearing arguments, a relatively rare occurrence. In such cases, the court disproportionately reversed lower courts' denials of immunity. God, this is a long article. All 9 current justices declined to be interviewed for this article. They have offered few explanations of the court's stance on qualified immunity beyond writing in opinions that the doctrine balances individuals' rights with the need to free officials from the time-consuming and costly burden of unnecessary litigation. That's alright. No need to apologize. It's kind of interesting to read through this. Like, how long is... Jesus Christ, dude. Like, it goes on for a while. My goodness. My goodness gracious me. When was this published? Does it have it in here somewhere? Edited? No. It doesn't seem like it actually has it in here anywhere. Oh, here we go. May 8, 2020. There we go. So it was actually just last year. So it's less than a year ago. There is a lot in here, though. There's a lot in here. Do we keep going with it? Is what I wonder. I feel like we kind of get the message that is being put across, is that cops bad. And we're always going to have, like when you put yourself in this space of being particularly politically driven with your content like I do, we're always going to have people coming in, being contrarian, and I don't mind that, honestly. I quite frankly, as long as they are not explicitly attacking me, or being outwardly aggressively racist or sexist or whatever, I don't mind people coming in and we can debate them, we can argue people. But this is, of course, this kind of stuff here, this kind of information here, is exactly what I would like more of in my streams. I would like more of this kind of information. I'm out of wine. That sucks. Fat dicks. I am not a debater by any stretch of the imagination. I do not have the experience to debate in a reasonable manner. But I would like to have as much information in this space as I can. As much, again, like I plan on going into a Bachelor's of Social Science this year. Fingers crossed the university calls me by February 3rd, which is like the cutoff. If not, I'm going to chase up with them on that. Because social science does talk about a lot of this kind of stuff, and it's something I'm very passionate about. Something that I've become a total fucking SJW in the past 6 months. I swear to God. There's a meme that goes on about like trans girls will be, you know, I might try wearing a dress. That's like, let me think for a second. It's like it's a boy. It's like I might try wearing a dress, and then I might try wearing a dress more often and try makeup. I'm gonna present as a girl full time. Crush like capitalism and all this. Crush fascism. Debate just takes reason and supported statements. Yes, true. Like, you have to have evidence behind you. Like, that's the final step. I'm at the final stage now of becoming a full-blown social justice warrior. I hate social injustice. Absolutely loathe it. It's the final step of being a trans girl. I need to get cat ears, uwu, and then I can be a full-blown trans cat girl. Maybe that'll bring even more people in. If I get the cat ears, I'm sure I could find some. I'm sure I could find some cat ear headbands and lure people in. Nya nya. Why is that a thing, by the way? I've noticed this is an issue I have noticed. A thing that I've seen cropping up from time to time is how many furries, generally speaking, are heavily political, either left or right. They're either very heavily lefty or they're very heavily righty. They're very heavily fascist leaning. What is the deal there? Why are there so many Nazi furries? Can someone explain that to me? Do you know? You're a furry. Why are there so many Nazi furries? Where did this come from? You don't even care, do you? You just want hugs. He doesn't care about the Nazis. He couldn't give less of a fuck. There are absolutely conservative furries. I'm not kidding. I've seen so many Nazi furries. Fuck, that was my capture card, you little cunt. You're not a cat, you're a cunt. You're a cunt. Fuck. Look at that. Look at him. Look at him. Hello. Where can I put you? I got you a box. Look. Go in the box. No, don't knock my bin over, you idiot. Go in the box. Do you want me to take the blanket out? Here we go. I like that I've got enough room to move my chair around now. It's a fucking relief, let me tell you. Here you go. We're trying to get in this box, no less. There you go. He was trying to get in the fucking thing. He doesn't know what to do. I think we figured it out. What do you reckon? Hey, Krebs, how's it going? Hello. Let me just give you the zoom for a sec. On this.
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
Action.
We hope you enjoy your stay.
Satanic Dark Room, welcome to the Rogue Room. Please sit down, chill out, grab a drink, hang with us. This is what we are here for. This is the content, right? It was the blanket. He didn't want the blanket. He's now Amazon box cat. Alright, put his back into position. I think that's accurate. That's close. No, that's not right. Hang on, I need to adjust this a bit. I need to get myself a proper tripod for my camera. This is currently sitting in my ring light, which does kind of work. But hey, we got cat now. We got cat box. We can keep cat in box, and he is cat. There we go. Perfect. Who needs a tripod? Just need a cat, that's all you need. It was the blanket. I can't believe it was the blanket. He just hates the fucking blanket. Stupid. I put the blanket in the box, I put the blanket on that spot on the floor, and he just wants the box. I mean, it works. Well, I guess my cat has a box now. I want him to sleep on like a little cute bed or something, you know? But he doesn't do that shit. He's got a bed. Never uses it. If it makes you feel better, and he's been sneezing in your face periodically. Fucking little asshole animals they are. Goodness me. Alright, let me have a look at this. I want to look at the clip. We're getting some clips. Hang on. I'll bring it over here.
Rogue Room. We hope you enjoy your stay.
Satanic Dark Room, welcome to the Rogue Room. Please sit down, chill out.
Kitty, kitty, cat, cat.
This is what we are here for. This is the
Fuck the
content.
politics.
It
This
was
is about the
blanket.
cat.
He didn't want the blanket. Oh god. This is the content. That's all the content is now. It's just cat box. I'll just sit here and just look at him. And you can all look at him too. Look. There we go. Just watch him. This is what we came for, alright? You made clips, you did. Thank you so much, by the way. Perfect. Anyway, politics time. Let's go back to politics. I'm gonna keep reading. I'm gonna continue reading Capital tonight. And then I've got to read... This is related to something else, but I borrowed my mother's copy of The Fictional Woman by Tara Moss. That's gonna come up later on. But right now, I'm so into... I'm so into the idea of reading theory at the moment. I need some good theory book recommendations. I think it's because people are either putting themselves or the world first. The moment you choose to take your own perspective as law, you tend to go right-wing and automatically have a bigger tendency of being conservative / a Nazi, etc. This is their way of standing for what they value, just like the left-wing people have their reason for not put the focus on themselves. Yeah, true, I've noticed that. It's that whole issue of vote for what benefits you, like vote selfishly, for example. And you will have people who take that to its complete conclusion and disregard anyone who is not them. And I think we need to do away with the idea of vote selfishly. We need to tell people more routinely that, like, we need to hammer in this point into people's heads that don't vote selfishly. Vote for things that make the country you live in better. Just because you have the freedom to be an asshole when you are casting your vote for whichever candidate, we should have more people being empathetic, being sympathetic to those who are less fortunate. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are explicitly the opposite of that, who are almost... the phrase is not arrogant, I don't think. What word am I looking for? So furries are like any other person in their own way with their own values, which they support in their own way. Debatable whether someone is an asshole or ignorant. Cannot blame an ignorant person for not knowing what they do not know. True, that is true. And that is my number one thing, is I feel specifically that I am ignorant. I'm gonna end on this note. I'm gonna throw this out there right now. I am an ignorant person who is left-leaning. I know bits and pieces. I know the things that I do know. I don't know everything. Let me fix my camera up for a sec. I know the things I do know, and I try my best to maintain my stances on those things, but I really want to expand my wealth of knowledge that I do have. And this is the issue I have. I really want to talk on these things. I really want to talk on these topics that I feel I am very passionate about. But I worry that I don't have all of the information. And this is again why I want to do the social science degree. I really want to get into this and have that knowledge behind me. And then maybe after that, political science, who knows? I'll do multiple degrees. I'll just be one of those people who has degree after degree after degree and never actually gets a job with any of them. Fun but sadly true. What's this? Joke you heard once. Vote left until you're rich enough to vote right. Which is not the case for a lot of people. You know, I'll watch the video in a second. This is not the case for a lot of people. This is the problem I have with the whole idea of that dream, the American dream, typically. The idea that if you just put your nose to the grindstone, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and work as hard as you possibly can, eventually you are going to get rich enough. That is a privilege afforded to few people. That is a privilege afforded to those who were born into a situation where they could actually get further ahead. There are many, many, many other people who can never get beyond that level of income, that income bracket they're stuck in at the bottom. And even people in the middle class can get stuck in an income bracket where they're teetering on a ledge, where if something goes wrong with the income they are earning, they could just collapse. They could lose everything. And that really leads into the idea of, like, what do you own? You know, if you losing your income means you lose your house, you lose your car, everything goes away. If you lose that job that you have, and all of a sudden everything you've spent all this money on is taken away from you, what do you own? Technically speaking, you own nothing. Nothing that you have. Unless you outright purchased your house 100% off the bat, which is, quite frankly, I'm going to throw this out there, very unlikely to happen in this day and age. Unless you're already a wealthy person. In which case you can outright buy a house, outright buy a car, etc. But, you know, I'm fortunate that, for example, I would not... I currently have a $6,500 remaining loan on a car I purchased 2 or 3 years ago. That car broke down on me to such a degree that I had to throw it out. I ended up selling it to 2 guys for $200 after getting a loan for about $11,000 to buy this car. Didn't last me a year. And that car broke and I'm out of thousands of dollars and a vehicle. And if it weren't for my dad buying his ex's old car, I wouldn't have a vehicle right now, which at the moment facilitates my ability to earn money, and that car's breaking down now. So I have the multiple situations where income is a heavy influence on my life, and I can't afford to cover the expenses necessary to continue earning money, you know? Being either poor or rich is right-wing material. What do you mean right-wing material? 2 sides to support Trump, capitalists, and angry people who feel like shit was taken away from them. Oh, I see. I get what you mean now. Let's have a look at this.
I think the problem...
Oh, John Cleese on stupidity. His stance on trans people is pretty stupid. But anyway.
I think the problem with people like this is that they are so stupid that they have no idea how stupid they are. You see, if you're very, very stupid, how can you possibly realize that you're very, very stupid? You'd have to be relatively intelligent to realize how stupid you are. There's a wonderful bit of research by a guy called David Dunning at Cornell, who's a friend of mine, I'm proud to say, who's pointed out that in order to know how good you are at something requires exactly the same skills as it does to be good at that thing in the first place, which means, and this is terribly funny, that if you're absolutely no good at something at all, then you lack exactly the skills that you need to know that you're absolutely no good at it. And this explains not just Hollywood, but almost the entirety of Fox News.
That's a very good point that he's made there. There is an extreme amount of self-awareness required to realize your lack of knowledge, your lack of intellect on various things. You don't think arrogance or humility is related to intelligence? I mean, not necessarily. Not necessarily. There are concepts that there's that whole correlation does not equal causation thing. I think if you are humble about your intellect, if you say, well, I'm not as smart as everyone says I am honestly that person. I hate to say this. I really hate to say this. This does come across as arrogant. I get this all the time. People tell me I'm really smart, and I'm just like, but no, I'm not. You know, I have very informed thoughts and opinions on a number of things, but I know virtually none of the theory. I know virtually none of the history of the various topics that I'm most passionate about. And I am spending as much time as I possibly can trying to educate myself on these things, but I don't have the guidance of, say, for example, being in a university setting, where I am in a classroom and there's a teacher giving me a breakdown of the topic and then recommending texts that I can read for myself to get the full spectrum of the theory. I think I lack a lot of intellect there, and I'm one of those people where people will say to me, you're very smart. And I think that in its own way, like, it's not specifically that arrogance or humility is related to your intellect in its own merits, but if you are a particularly dumb person, I have noticed a lot of people who are particularly uninformed about the world are very arrogant. But those are not specifically related things, because I've also met people who are very intelligent and very arrogant. And in the same space, I've met particularly humble people who will admit their ignorance of the world. And that requires a level of self-awareness, but I don't think it's necessarily intellect. There have been people I've met who are just like, I don't know the state of things, I'm not educated on the state of things. And it takes, if you've never put that energy forward to make the connections necessary to inform yourself, especially as you get older. This is why I want to do this now. I'm 31. I've already let myself go in terms of intellect for such a long time, even having dipped my toes into the university space and into study over the years briefly. I feel like there's a certain passion for it now that wasn't there before. I really want to be enlightened. I want to know things now. And I forget where I was going with this. It works with mentally impaired people, and when they ask or tell me you're smart, you strongly always reply, depends on what it's about. That is true. That is not humility. That is just, I would say that is self-awareness. It's like, I can be intelligent about certain video games. For example, you know, I know a lot about Dark Souls. I know a ton about Dark Souls, about Minecraft. I could say that I have pretty encyclopedic knowledge of those games. But that's not going to help me in any way, is it? I mean, I could be that guy who went off and did a scholarship. Or not a scholarship. Not a doctorate. Did a thesis on the Elder Scrolls. A guy who knew every single finite detail, every finer detail, I should say, about the Elder Scrolls, and actually went to university and did a thesis on the Elder Scrolls. Gotta respect it, honestly. I don't know what exactly it would be about. Gotta respect it. 31 is a great age to begin university study, you think so? I mean, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that this year I will be at university for the next 3 years bare minimum to get my degree in social science. And then on the other end of this, I will come out a more intelligent person. You gotta go, nondescript. Thank you so kindly for swinging by. I hope to see you again really soon. You did a thesis on Instagram poetry last year, so you're literally able to do what you want. Well, true. True. Have a fun stream and a great day. Well, we're gonna call it in like 10 minutes. And Smudge is still in the box. We have found a spot for him. I hope he doesn't shit in it or something. He's definitely marked his territory somewhere in my room at some point recently. The smell is gone now, but it was here. I don't know where he did it. A gay person. Yes, I'm a gay person. You'll never be done learning. All you can do is open up the world and enjoy whatever you take in and learn. And that's what I want to do. That's what I want to just... I want to open that world up to myself and be able to explain things in depth. You know? I want to be able to take the microphone and ramble for 3 hours on a specific subsection of social science and say, I know about this because I read about it and I have studied it and I've done essays on it. Honestly, I do intend, funnily enough, like whatever assignments they give me at university regarding social science, I wouldn't mind asking them, I'm a video essayist. I do these things as creative projects. Can I do a video essay as the project instead of a written essay? I doubt they would say yes, but I love doing video essays. I love the research behind them. I love putting the script together and all that. There's always a rush when you get to use your mystical mod powers. Humpty Dumpty and wonder if he's homosexual and singing he's gay. Who's gay? You know what's a really weird thing? For some reason, the phrase gay. Whenever I think of a gay guy, this is really strange to me. And maybe this is indicative of the type of media at the time. Whenever I think of a gay man, I immediately go to Carson Kressley from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, from the original series of it. I don't know why he hasn't been relevant in a hot minute. That's the first person that pops into my head. There are many other more prominent, more relevant gay people, and I'm like, Carson Kressley. Yep. Maybe it's because of the Queer Eye thing, like specifically, here's 5 gay guys who are going to dress up a straight guy for a show. I mean, it was a neat concept. I'll give him credit where credit's due. It's very rewarding to get a good grade on something you've researched intensely. Yes, I would desperately want to get as good reviews as I possibly can. Good reviews, yeah. Grades. Good grades. Much better than I got at university doing my open foundation, where I did sociology basics and chemistry basics. Oh, how gay meant joyful and happy before it got hated. Oh, yeah, true. Actually, there's a fun story there about the color of pink and how the color pink got feminized over time. There's an interesting thing. I forget who... The history of women wearing pink, right? And how it became so feminized. How pink became a girl color, right? Has pink always been a girly color? The answer is no. This article is very, very white. Oh, now he's gone into my laundry basket where his blanket is that he hates. His blanket that he hates. Okay, anyway, if you see newborn babies at a hospital in the US, you'll most likely see them in pink or blue outfits to mark their sex, often conflated with gender identity. That's a whole thing. I just looked at where my camera used to be again. Has the US always used colors to signify boys or girls? The short answer is no. What did you knock over? I'm going to disown you. I swear to God, I'm going to disown you. Pastel colors for baby clothing, including blue and pink, were introduced in the mid-19th century and didn't become sex-specific colors until the 20th century. A couple of different aspects affected the ultimate designation of pink for girls. Back before pastels were popular for babies, most kids dressed their kids in white dresses until they were about 6. Historian Joe B. Paoletti says this outfit was practical. White cotton could be easily bleached and dresses allowed for convenient access for diaper changing. Then pastel colors became a fad for babies. These pastels weren't marketed to a certain sex, both boys and girls were dressed in a wide array of pastels, including blue and pink. At the beginning of the 20th century, some stores began suggesting sex-appropriate colors. In 1918, the trade publication Earnshaw's Infants Department claimed the generally accepted rule is pink for the boys and blue for the girls. The reason is that pink, while being a more decided and stronger color, is more suitable for the boy, while blue, which is more delicate and dainty, is prettier for the girl. Additionally, and like it goes in, there was something relating to this specifically, that pink was sort of the color of blood-stained bandages. You know, men going to war and getting shot and stabbed and all that and bandaging things up, and the bandage would turn pink in certain areas, and thus it was, you know, strong and masculine and manly because you went to war and you got injured and you bandaged yourself up, so you got pink bandages soaked with blood, you know. It's been used more of an extreme when it comes to gender clothing. More people tend to go for more subdued neutral colors. I definitely do now. Most of my dresses and stuff are all pretty, not particularly vibrant colors, not particularly over the top. But yeah, there's a thing, which is why it's always so funny when we talk about the idea of colors for sexes and people like the thing going. Thank you for the hydrate, by the way, Fox. People going on about the Harry Styles wearing a dress thing, or any time a man shows any hint of femininity, what we consider femininity currently, is always highly amusing because the situation has changed so dramatically. What we typically consider feminine or masculine has shifted and changed. So typically feminine things today used to be typically masculine things, and that's such a recurring trend, and people love to overlook that when discussing the feminine and the masculine. Anyway, that's been me for tonight. I am completely out of time. I'm going to call it there, and we are going to raid somebody. Who can we raid? I don't know who we can go to. Who is live at the minute? Who's live at the minute? You were here for the whole stream. Musicians have been posing in dresses since the 60s, probably beyond that even. Like the musician being weird sort of situation. And doing weird, unusual things. Like, again, Kiss, their entire career was built on the fact that they were wearing makeup on stage. Like the whole idea of makeup being explicitly feminine. Oh, a man wearing makeup? It's like some of your favorite bands wear makeup, dipshit. All that kind of thing. Where do I know this person from? I'm trying to think, like, I've got someone here that I'm thinking we can go to. And I don't know where I know them from. Do we raid Lucy L? Hello, Mr. Fluffy Pants. We're just considering who to raid. I would rather raid... This is the problem. Is like I want to raid someone I'm more familiar with. Neekums is live. He's playing RimWorld. Do you guys want to watch some RimWorld? stop telling me to raid myself. If you're gonna give me the raiding myself advice, donate to my new camera setup. Hello, Ms. Rebella. You caught us at the very tail end of things. Who can I raid? Who can I raid? I can't raid Gus Johnson. As cool as Gus Johnson is, I can't raid Gus Johnson. That'd be sick, but no. At the very least, his stream chat isn't really blowing up, so you could stop in and say hi, but no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to raid someone who's not going to remember me. Who do I send people to? Who do I send you lot to? Do you have any recommendations for an actual streamer? Someone who is actually streaming things. Generally speaking, I don't want to go for a video game stream, but it seems like that's all that's going on at the minute. So I don't know. Mume? What's Mume doing? Oh, you've been watching for 20 minutes, resisting getting out of bed. I know the vibe. Where is Mume? Oh, they're playing Paladins. I'm not huge on Paladins. Sorry, Mume. Who's Chris can try? And I've got Gus Johnson up here at the moment. Hang on. Who's this person? Playing Minecraft, eh? I'd rather raid someone I'm familiar with. Let's try... Oh, whoops. I've just clicked on another random stream. This is the problem. I need to go through my follow list and cull some people. I really do. Can I raid Laurie? How about Laurie Pops? She's a New Zealand streamer. Seems pretty cool as far as I've been able to tell. She's playing the Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope. I have not played these games. You might not have played these games. So if you're interested in horror, there's something to look forward to. I might play those at some point. I am interested in going back to horror streaming sometime in the near future. Since we were talking about changes tonight, even though we skewed heavily into the discussion around police brutality, but I am interested in getting into more horror games. One of my upcoming ones that I really want to look at if we do a horror game stream soon is Visage. I keep going, look here, my camera's not here anymore. I do want to try Visage, but that's like $50 fucking. The thing. It's like, this is the broke gamer problem. I can't afford the games I want to play. I will try to do another horror game stream soon. So, stick around for the raid. Say hi. Say Rogue Raid or something like that. I don't know. Up to you. If you have not played the Dark Pictures anthology games, it's probably going to spoil it, but I'm not too fussed about spoilers at this point in my career. At this point in my life, I don't give much of a shit about spoilers because everything gets spoiled for me anyway. Have a good one, everyone. I'll see you when I'm looking at you. Which will hopefully be tomorrow night at 6 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Sorry. For goodness sake. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Standard Time. Which is it? Australia? I'll see you later.